is spinning. The wheel is
broadcast is
spinning.
live.
You are live! Exclamation point. I love doing that every time we start a new live stream. Well, hey there, folks. Welcome back to Mike Cybert Radio. I am your host, and we've got a full house tonight. We've got a really fun episode for you. We are going to be talking our full spoiler discussion of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, but I am joined by members of the CybFest Northwest organization team, of which I am a part of. And one of the other things we're going to do tonight, as we're talking about the titular Rise of the Beast, we're also going to be talking about some of the cool things that we've got going on with our local unofficial Transformers convention coming up in July. And we're at what, 27 days or some such a way? It's
25.
25. My God, man.
I heard somebody professional actually tell us how many days away we were.
I remember back when we were like 51 days away, and that felt like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And now that it's half that, I'm getting kind of nervous, or perhaps anxious might be a better way to describe it, because we have a really fun convention coming up on July 8th, 2023. It's the 10th annual CybFest Northwest, the Cybertronian Festival, coming to the Pacific Northwest for the fans, by the fans. It's a Transformers convention with a Pacific Northwest twist. And so, yeah, like I said, we're going to give some updates and talk about some of the cool stuff that we've got going on. So if you are joining us here in the chat, like Dan the Man is watching on YouTube and gives a fist and 3 flame emojis. So I appreciate
3?
that.
I'm insulted. There's 4 of us.
On fire.
So yeah, so we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. So regardless of what platform you're watching on, feel free and jump in the chat, and we'll put up your questions, your comments, and your concerns as we go along, as we discuss the movie. But you know, you've heard from my rowdy friends already, but I think it's time to introduce our panel. Well, first of all, my name is Mike, and I think what we settled on is what the media coordinator or some such like that. I think that's about right, or at least that's what I'm calling myself now. And then let's kind of go. It's so funny. Like, I'm mirrored, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to go. Oh, nope. We'll go that way. Counterclockwise. I don't know. Hey Ben, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell folks a little bit about what you do at the CybFest.
That's a good question, because I'm Ben, and I don't know what I do at CybFest.
That's for sure. Oh, no.
I've been there since the beginning. I'm kind of like the host, the talker. I kind of arrange some stuff behind the scenes.
The original organizer.
I'm an original
One
something.
of the original organizers. There we go.
Yeah, I there's a lot of little things that I do throughout the year, and yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff. Work on the trivia, I've been working to get a certain voice actor to our show. I do podcasts like this and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, we turn our attention to our dealer coordinator, Jamal. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what brings you to CybFest Northwest, or what brings you to part of the team?
My name is Jamal. I am the dealer coordinator. I have been coming to CybFest since its beginning, and actually was coming before it was CybFest, when it was CybCon. Started off as an attendee. Have been a dealer on odd years and odd occasions, but I mostly volunteered at CybFest, and that's when Ben, and after a while of volunteering, Ben and Jason graciously asked if I would be interested in being an organizer. And once I came on board as an organizer, they pretty much saw my, what would you say, Ben, talent or just enthusiasm for the dealer room? I don't know which one.
Both.
Both, yeah. My talent and enthusiasm for the dealer room. So I was given responsibility of being the dealer coordinator, and I've been doing that ever since. So I plan the layout, run it by the rest of the organizers, make sure that the layout works for all other parts of the convention, and I set up where people are going to be at. And on the day of the convention, I make sure that dealers have what they need, and just kind of make sure to be the go-to person for them if they have any questions.
Absolutely. And you generally run the transforming contest too, if memory serves.
Sure. Yes, I run the transforming contest with one of our other regular volunteers, Randy, and so we have the adults and the kids version, and that's always a lot of fun because I always wonder whether or not the adults will break the transformer before we finish the contest, because the contest it's a lot of fun because just people trying to transform as fast as possible and get first place and whatnot. I always wonder if the item we're transforming will survive.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's been my observation that as the level of detail and articulation increases, the level of durability seems to decrease.
Yeah.
I was recently gifted a Transformers animated deluxe Bumblebee, and he's about a head higher than a contemporary deluxe, and he is thick and durable. I feel like I could throw him off a roof and he would be just fine. He is a tough little bot. I love that toy.
That's about equivalent to an old G1 toy right there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as currently, I am the most recent addition to the CybFest organization team, but there was so now I guess technically I'm the baby of the group, but there was a time where I was not the baby of the group, and I would like to introduce our artist and panelist and artist coordinator and social media coordinator, and God knows what else Liz does. It feels like Liz does a little bit of everything, and it's spectacular.
Hold it together.
And keeping and really actually a little bit behind the scenes, the most important job that I think that Liz has taken on is being the master of the air horn when our organizer meetings inevitably go long. It's like, okay, it's almost 11, guys. Let's wrap this up.
I have to go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Liz,
The
thanks so much for
youngest of
joining
our
us.
crew, but also the most responsible. So very weird.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't know what that says about the rest of us. That's dangerous.
In terms of age, I do think I am still probably considered the baby of the group. But yes, like all the organizers here, I do wear a lot of hats. Generally, I do artist coordination, social media coordination, and then a lot of outreach in general. And then kind of whatever else is needed, just like all of us do. With 5 people on a whole convention, there's a lot of hats to wear. But yay, I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, like I see Dan the Man, you've got a couple great comments in the chat. I'll get to those in just a little bit, but first I kind of want to talk about where we're at with CybFest Northwest. Again, our little unofficial Transformers convention here in the Pacific Northwest. Again, that is going to be happening July 8th, 2023 at the Kent Commons Community Center, conveniently located right across the street from the ShoWare Center where our Seattle Thunderbirds play. And it's our 10th year, or at least our 10th annual convention, and it's been really exciting. We've kind of blown down the doors, both figuratively and literally. We've got a lot of stuff exciting that we want to talk about, but I guess the first thing I want to mention is kind of give some love to some folks that have been having us on their shows recently. Fans of Radio Free Cybertron might have heard myself and Ben and Jamal. We were recently guests on with Diecast. He interviewed us about the show, and we talked about a lot of the things we're going to talk about here. But Diecast has been one of my TFCon convention buddies for a long time. So it's always cool kicking it with that guy. And we really kind of got into kind of the shared history of CybFest going all the way back to CybCon. Ben dropped some knowledge, and that was a really fun conversation. So that is their most current episode of Radio Free Cybertron. Go check that out and go subscribe to those folks. They're really cool folks. And then coming up, I believe it drops next week. I was recently a guest on the Swerves Bar podcast. Now, if for folks that aren't familiar with the show that they do, it's kind of a live role play D&D style game with transforming robot people. So it's a few of their members had me on, and they themselves are robots from Cybertron and not exactly familiar with Earth customs such as conventions and gatherings. And so there was a lot of them asking me what these festivities are all about. What is our Cybertronian festival all about? So that was kind of a fun conversation. You'll get to listen to me kind of squirm as I try to human-splain things to our robots in disguise friends. So that was a really fun conversation. We're really excited to have them as partners. They'll be coming to CybFest as well, doing a panel with kind of like a demo of sorts of kind of like what they do on the podcast, which is kind of like a live role play D&D style game show thing. But anyway, they're really cool folks, and I just wanted to thank them. And as let's see what I have so many things that we're excited about. Jamal, do you want to talk about, like, I had mentioned kind of being kind of punny. We said, like, this is our 10th annual show, and we're kind of blowing the doors open figuratively and literally. Could you maybe talk a little bit about kind of what some of the exciting stuff we're doing with the dealer room that's kind of new and exciting for folks?
So this year with the dealer room, we introduced some larger booths. Previous years, we had like single table, double table, and triple table booths. We introduced larger 4-table booths for people that really have a lot of stuff to sell and want to be able to show off. So we've made that available. We're also going to have a Bumblebee in the building, so to speak. We have a local fan who has a Camaro that he has customized to be, would you say, fairly accurate replica Bumblebee, would you say, Ben?
I would say so.
Yeah, fairly accurate Bumblebee. So we'll have him in the room for people to be able to check out Bumblebee. But the coolest part is, I mean, we're not just blowing the doors off or blowing the walls out. We're actually going for the whole gym this year. So instead of it being just half the gym, we're going to have the whole enchilada. We'll be able to spread out. We're going to have plenty of dealers. We have some robotics teams that are going to be there. And we've got plenty of artists. So it's going to be really lots of fun. And we're going to be utilizing the whole gym. So this is going to be really exciting.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And like the new layout to utilize the full gym, Jamal, it's your masterpiece. It's what you've been building towards the last couple of years. I'm really excited about how that.
And it's funny too, because when we came back in person after COVID, we had to be really careful about social distancing and be limited to how many booths we can have and space apart and stuff like that. And so I've really kind of built off of that to be able to know how to squeeze in more booths and really kind of pack the gym. But what's really cool about having the whole gym is that we can be spread out, right? Yeah. So when people are looking at booths and checking out stuff they want to buy, they don't have to worry about being in the middle of the aisle. They could be there at the booths looking at stuff, and there'll still be room for people to walk through. So it's like, you'll be able to get around the room really easily, but still have lots of different vendors and tables to be able to go to.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. So when we closed out CybFest last year, which was our first in-person CybFest since COVID, we had done an online version that was a lot of fun. Last year was kind of like a stripped down, back to basics type of thing, and we really wanted this year's show, being our 10th annual show, to really kind of be a statement, like, we back, that kind of thing, and do a lot of things that fans have been asking us for quite some time. So Liz, I would like to turn to you, and let's talk about some of the things that fans have been asking for, and things that we've been doing for them. You recently made a really cool video of things that have been rubber stamped approved. That video rules, by the way. I love it so much.
I think the real stamp of approval for that video was Statler telling me he thought it was cool. I was like, yes. But no, we've done a whole lot of cool new things this year that I'm super excited about. I remember last year, the organizer panel, we had a lot of people clamoring for t-shirts, so we made that happen. We have sold a little over 20 t-shirts now, and I mentioned this in our CybFest Facebook group. It has been very impressive to see all the different colors that people have ordered. I
Yeah.
was assuming that people would be ordering it with the CybFest green t-shirt and the white logo on there, and we've gotten just about every color that TeePublic has offered has been bought, so that has been very cool to see. I believe it was Aaron that posted in the CybFest group today that he just got his bright red CybFest shirt. So
I was
do-
actually just looking at that. I was gonna see if I
Yeah.
could do a screen share on that once I find that. That's in the CybFest group, right?
It is, yeah, and I do believe that is the first probably shirt that has arrived, because mine still have not arrived yet either. Have any of you guys gotten yours yet?
I have
Not yet.
not.
I have not gotten mine yet. I
I-
ordered for
I'm
the
eagerly
whole
waiting.
family. I haven't gotten it yet.
I want to get a picture of as many people wearing the shirt as possible.
A
It
group
just creates this
photo.
like gorgeous
Now-
cacophony of
There's
colors.
a couple things I want to say about the t-shirt that I think is really cool, right?
Mhm.
Normally when you have t-shirts at a convention, you get one style, right? You get one style, maybe two. It might be like one color only or two colors only. So the fact that anybody can go on there, order a CybFest t-shirt, and like you guys said, get any color under the sun is
Mhm.
really cool.
Except pink. We cannot have pink.
Well,
I
except pink.
desperately wanted pink.
Pink was not an option. And the other good thing about it too, that I don't know if anybody's talking about, is you can get different fits,
Mhm.
right? So
I
you can
got-
get like a classic fit, you can get the premium fit, and if you pay attention to the stats on those fits, you can get ones where it's pre-shrunk, or ones that are different blend of materials so that it won't shrink, or get ones that are more of a relaxed fit. So if you're kind of a husky guy, for example, like myself, you can order that fit that better works for you. They have guides on there on how to figure out the best size in their selection for you to get. So it's like, I kind of feel like it's almost impossible to go wrong getting a CybFest shirt.
I think I was
You can get
actually,
whatever color you want, whatever size you need.
Yeah.
from what I'm looking at in the sales, I think I am so far the only person to have bought the feminine fit shirt, and I don't know how that makes me
No,
feel.
my wife bought one.
Really?
She got a feminine fit.
Oh,
Oh,
I do
that's
see
funny.
that. The V-neck, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah, my
awesome.
wife will probably get that as well.
There's a whole bunch of colors though. There's blues, there's purples, there's grape, which I think is also purple, but that's I guess just a different purple.
Probably a more
but-
indigo type of thing, I would imagine.
Exactly, yeah.
I
The
went with
t-shirts-
the royal blue myself.
Very nice, very nice.
I-
I
I'm
did
very-
I got the traditional CybFest green. I thought it was kind of an evergreen shirt, if you will.
I love it.
The other thing too,
I
though,
was
is you
aiming
don't.
for that, but the color choices were limited in the particular fit that I chose.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
The
I
other
couldn't
cool
get
thing,
green in the
too,
fit that I chose.
Is you don't necessarily need to get a shirt. TeePublic will let you also get stickers or a mug. I think there's a couple other options
Yeah,
too.
I
But
noticed that. That's
and
so
I'm-
cool.
I do think I do collect stickers, so I think at some point I will be grabbing a cool CybFest sticker for my desk. But
Nice.
it is
And
it
they
is
had
very
hoodies
cool.
too.
Yeah, buttons, absolutely. I was
Yeah.
very excited to bring that to CybFest this year. I knew people had been clamoring for that. I
Mhm.
also do think that is very much the tip of the iceberg of stuff we are bringing to CybFest this year. I've got a whole list of things that I can just keep on going about, but I don't know what we're hitting on outside of that. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
let's see. I've got the robotics teams. I'm super excited about the robotics teams. If I can spiel on that
Please.
for a second too.
Yeah, please continue.
So we're bringing in 2 First Robotics teams. First Robotics is a high school robotics competition where these teams get a prompt at the beginning of the year, and they go all the way through the year building a robot that meets these qualifications so that they can enter it into a tournament at the end of the year. Usually they will do a handful of smaller tournaments throughout the year, but the goal is to get to the World's Tournament in Houston. The 2 robotics teams we have this year are 5941 and 9036. That is respectively Cast Iron Orcas from Everett and Ramen Robotics from Bellevue. These teams have built these robots from scratch all on their own, and that is super cool and impressive to me. We're going to be bringing in Cast Iron Orcas is bringing in their robot named Ignition. They said that name came from a series of accidents during the building that led to some unintentional ignitions.
Oh no.
And then Ramen Robotics is bringing their robot named Miso, who is themed after the ramen robotics, which is super fun. So I'm very excited
to bring that Ignition's name, and my first thought was, oh no, I hope the thing doesn't ignite in the middle of Kent Commons.
I think we should be good on that. I did specifically put in the group earlier this year, please don't do arson at CybFest Northwest. Kent Commons got mad at us last time. So
it is a wood floor. I mean, it is just a gym at the end of the day. You'll see the paint for the basketball hoops and all that. Liz, I want to stop you for just a quick sec. I got a great question in the chat that I wanted to call attention to before we got too much further. My buddy Aaron, who is the host of Autopod Decepticast, asked, I'd love to know the history of the CybFest logo mascot. And I don't know if I even know that story. Ben,
I think I'm the only one here who does know that story. So I guess I should say it.
Yeah.
So the inspiration for it is, given that Hasbro won't let you use Autobots and Decepticon logos, and we were thinking of we need something that says Transformers that's kind of recognizable as Transformers but isn't quite Transformers. And so I can't remember what year we brought in the mascot thing. Maybe it was the second or third year. We evolved it a bit, but we wanted something that kind of looked like the Autobot Decepticon logo, or Maximal, Predacon, Minicon, all the different logos, and something that would fit right in with it. And we always had kind of the green as our theme color, so that kind of made sense, and it kind of broke away from the red and purple and stuff, so it made it stand out in color wise too. And yeah, it was just kind of something we came up with and thought it would be cool, and it's kind of stuck with us. And there's been people have submitted kind of different ideas, different approaches to it, and I think that might be something we revisit to kind of update the look of it, just because this is we're doing our 10th year, so we can evolve past it and just kind of grow our look just as well as we grow the show. I hope that answers his question a bit.
And if it doesn't,
I still have all these different interpretations of it throughout the back and forth that Jason and I had. There were some pretty wild designs. One where it's very much like a almost a Christmas tree type face that was just really extreme. And then we decided to kind of back away from that quite a bit, because we didn't want people thinking that this was this is like a logging company or something like that. We wanted it to be pretty obvious that it's Transformers, but still kind of have that, we're the Evergreen State, so it made sense.
Absolutely.
You're welcome, Aaron.
And so actually, speaking of, Aaron says, whether intentional or not, it kind of has Sasquatch vibes, which feels nice for the Pacific Northwest. And when I first came across CybFest, that was the feeling I was struck with. I was like, oh, very, very PNW. So again, whether intentional or not, that really hits it there. And again, I just want to remind everybody hanging out in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, we will talk about the rise of the beast eventually, I'm sure, because we have many, many things to say. But if you have questions for us about CybFest, specifically our little unofficial Transformers convention here in the Pacific Northwest, please feel free and drop your questions in the chat. Since we're here and we're live and we're being very public, now would be a really good time to get some of your burning questions answered. And speaking of burning questions, my buddy Nick, incidentally, let me tell you about my buddy Nick. He is the reason why I'm here with you guys. If Nick didn't, he's a big fan of my podcast. He's a big fan of like a lot of the same radio shows that we listen to and participate in. And he just hit me up on Twitter one day. He's like, "Hey man, have you heard of the Transformers convention here in Kent?" And I'm like, "There's a Transformers convention in Kent? What the hell are you talking about?" And I think that was either 2018 or 2017. I don't remember. But I ended up going like for like the last hour of the show because like I was working, but I happened to be working in the area. I didn't meet anybody. I just kind of like did a speed run through the dealer floor. I think I bought that year's print from Ben Hansen, but I think outside of that, I just kind of like speed runned it. And then after that, then I started getting involved with you folks. But had Nick not pointed that out to me, we wouldn't be here talking today. So I kind of, owe a little bit of my involvement to him. But anyway, so Nick, being a huge supporter of CybFest and everything we do, he asks, is Ben going to be taking any of his Bumblebee collection on New Day Northwest again?
Oh wow, that was an amazing experience. First of all, it was completely mind blowing. I think you can still see the video online. That was all arranged from the Paramount Studios representatives in Seattle, and they contacted us for the Bumblebee movie, and through that we kind of talked back and forth about us giving away some of the press screening tickets, kind of like we did with Rise of the Beast, and from there we kind of said, well, it is the Bumblebee movie. I kind of have a humble Bumblebee collection.
Humble.
The yellow.
Well, Ben, you've I don't remember if it was Sixo or Maz, but one of the two of those guys talked to you for like a TF Source article, like way back in the day. It blew my mind. Like I was listening to like, I don't know, it was like when the Triple Takeover podcast first started, and like on like episode 3 or something. Oh yeah, there's this guy, Ben, I think is his name, with like he has like a pretty extensive Bumblebee collection. I'm like, I was out on my walk and I almost fell over with my head. I'm like, I know him. That's that guy.
Yeah.
And at that year's CybFest, I was like, hey Ben, there wouldn't be another band that has a famous Bumblebee collection, right?
There might be. I don't know where I stand as far as the size of my collection. I do know that I go through like the wiki for Humblebee. That's great. I go through like the wiki of like Transformer Bumblebee toys and merchandise and stuff like that, and I scroll quite a bit before I come across something I haven't got yet. And I'm still finding. I have stuff that they don't have on there, of course, but it's crazy. So when I told them I had a Bumblebee collection, they're like, "Let me get back to you." And a day later, they said, "How would you like to bring your display and to the theater for the screening? And I said, okay, that'd be cool. And I kind of said, I can't bring it all. And they said, that's fine, because we don't want you to bring it all. And I said, okay, cool. And they said, also, would you be willing to talk about this on TV? And I said, okay, because why not? And that's how it kind of all came about. And so then they said, okay, at the end of this week, you're going to be going to King 5 Studios, and just bring a modest collection, and you'll talk about it. And we got there, and I talked to the producer a little bit, and they kind of went over what it's going to be like. The set where it's filmed is pretty small. My wife and son came with me, so they got to experience it. And my son asked if he could be on TV as well. They turned him down, even though I think now he knows more about Transformers than I do. I met the host, and then she's like, okay, well, we're ready to record film. And I said, oh, when's this going to air? And she's like, yeah, in like an hour. So the turnover from when they film to when it gets aired is really, really tight. And so all that was, we did 2 takes, and the one that you see on TV is the 3rd take. And the first one, she kind of stumbled over her words. Oh no, the first one, the mic wasn't on. My mic wasn't on. And the second one, she kind of stumbled over the terminology of Cybertron and Bumblebee and all that. And so she kind of started over. And then it was just like, then we just ran with it. And I didn't know any of the questions up front. So that was kind of nerve-wracking, because I'm like, I have to just kind of be quick with my answers, because it's not like they're editing it and, taking different angles or anything like that, like you would with a movie or anything. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I would love to do it again, but it's not something you just call up a TV station to say, hey, put me on TV, because then you're a crazy person to them. And that's not what I want to be known as in the world of television. So absolutely. I hope that answers your question. If you want to be a liaison and get a hold of news stations and tell them that I should be on TV, go for it. But it's not something that's really easy to do.
Yeah, and the most funny thing about Ben's collection too is before the 2007 movie, there probably wasn't much Bumblebee to collect.
And I started collecting. It was 2000. I started collecting late 2005, early 2006, and I was like, Bumblebee was my first figure. This will be great. It's a small collection of toys, and this is before they announced who was in the movie.
The rest is history.
And in my head, I was like, they lost the name to Bumblebee, so I'm safe.
Yeah.
And then
because it's finite at that point.
Yeah, it was in like 6 months later. They're like, and the star of the movie's going to be Bumblebee, and I went, oh crap. But then even then, it was like, I don't know how long it's going to, how well this is going to do.
Thanks, Colleen. Heart you.
Oh yes.
From Mrs. Ben, his wife has no comment about the size of the collection. Smiley face emoji.
She has purchased some of those for me through the years, as has my son. So they're also partially responsible, and my mother and my mother-in-law and many friends and stuff. So it was a group effort. But
nice.
Yeah, it started out with the idea of it being fairly controlled, and then it wasn't.
Should have gone with Hot Shot.
Well, no, then they started making Hot Shot toys again. Yeah, there you go. So I want to pivot really quick for just a brief moment, because my man Dan the Man he got his questions in first, before anything else, before we even started talking about the conventions, heresy, he says, my questions have been skipped. One fire emoji. So what I would like to do before we get back into the CybFest discussion, and which will lead into the movie discussion, he did have a couple questions I wanted us to kind of chew on real quick that aren't necessarily integral to our discussion of the plot or our experience. So I think we're kind of thematically okay here, but he had a pair of really cool questions that I'd like to bring up here. So Dan the Man asked, will the director, Capel Jr., finally put respect on Jolt's and Breakaway's names when we get off of Earth in the sequels? Discuss.
Question.
I don't know. I don't know who those people are.
Are we definitely getting off of Earth in the sequels?
There has been talk that the sequel is just about greenlit, is what
It has
what
to
I've heard so far.
In the sequel.
It can't. Can't comprehend a world where there's not at some point more Transformers live action movies.
Right.
But so Jolt and Breakaway are, I'm not super familiar with them, but the second part of that question did excite me. I was like, are we getting off Earth in the sequels? Do they have the budget for that? That'd be cool.
Well, the animated movie that's coming out next year is going to be entirely Cybertron. So there's hope that we'll get kind of some more of these obscure characters, a little bit more focus. But I think it takes place kind of like in the early days of Prime and Megatron's relationship. So, and it's going to be animated. So who knows how well it will tie into the live action stuff. I'm not sure how well the live action stuff ties in with the live action stuff, but it is what it is. But I'm hoping, based on my experience with Rise of the Beast, I'm hoping there's more.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you're not teasing the mega op shippers out there. It's like, oh, it's going to get into their relationship. It's like, that doesn't mean what you think it means. I'm like, damn it. But so yeah, Transformers 1 is going to be interesting because it's an origin story, and we'll see how it ties in. But point of order though, so like I don't know who Jolt and Breakaway are. I mean, Jolt is like a character in the live action movies that was like
they were minor characters in the
I was going to say, I think they were minor characters in some of the earlier live action movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, because
Jolt was in Dark of the Moon. He was
he was in Revenge of the Fallen, because he's like a Chevy Volt, and like through like his tentacle cables like zaps Optimus back to life or some such like that. That's what happens when you get a movie in the middle of a writer strike. Yikes.
Right.
Anyway.
And Breakaway was from the first movie's video game, and he got a figure at that point, but he never. As far as I remember, they've never brought him back in any of the movies. It was just kind of a character in the first game.
I don't see them bringing them back for this, these future movies. Just the odds of it feel super small to me, just because of how many Transformers characters there are that they have that they could bring in.
Well, Jolt is completely unlikely because the movie takes place in '94. And so presumably they're going to continue being kind of in the past, and, electric cars just weren't a thing back then. So
right.
That's not to say they couldn't reinterpret the character, though.
Well, and I was going to say, I think we maybe missed the interpretation of Dan the Man's question, because he asks, will Capel Jr. finally put respect on Jolt's and Breakaway's names when we get off of Earth for the sequels? So it sounds to me like he wasn't exactly pleased with those particular interpretations of the characters, because here's the thing, and I bump into this sometimes. Every character is somebody's favorite character. So, so having respect on the name is definitely something worth asking for. But unfortunately, I think our panel has decided it's I don't know, maybe.
I think a lot of that's going to depend on where they take the story.
Yeah.
Right. Because, now they're in, Bumblebee was in the 80s. Now they moved up to the 90s with Rise of the Beast. So the question is, where are they going from there? And if there's one thing we've learned about the live action movies is that they love the human element as part of the story.
Right.
Right. And so
100%.
that makes the whole idea of them taking it off planet, I think, a little bit harder, given that they like to have that human story element to it.
Yeah.
And then Liz brought up a good point too, as far as the budget. Right. Once you start getting to off planet and not being in scenes that can be replicated on, like going to a shooting location, well, now you're talking about a lot of CGI that increases the budget, and I think that just causes kind of all kinds of other concerns and complications as to what direction they could take the story to.
Yeah.
So I would say that a lot of that remains to be seen, I think.
I would be curious what the budget of the Cybertronian intro scene for the Bumblebee movie was compared to just another scene that was filmed on Earth that had some of the robots. If there really was, if the Bumblebee all CGI Cybertronian battle scene in the beginning was higher budgeted for that action scene than an action scene on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be interesting to see that. They won't. I don't think they'll let me know. Maybe because they don't know who I am.
So Dan the Man did kind of co-sign what we were stumbling through. There you go. Jolt had the electric whips, and Breakaway was an aerial bot in Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon video games. Also, Stratosphere was in the game, and he was in Rise of the Beasts. Let's see. And he had another comment here before his other question. More so just unpleasant with how little development those two got. I know Stephen Capel Jr. said he would love to get off Earth in the sequels. So that
goes back to whether or not they're going to greenlight a sequel to Rise of the Beasts. And I think they're still waiting to see how the movie performs before they do that.
It was #1 in the U.S. It beat out Spider-Man 2. There's Spider-Man 2 Into the Spider-Verse, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet, but I hear it's amazing.
It is phenomenal. But I can't.
We do Spider-Verse podcast instead. Let's do that.
You know what? Don't threaten me with a good time, because I would love to talk Spider-Verse. According to Box Office Mojo, Transformers: Rise of the Beast brought in $61 million, and Across the Spider-Verse brought in 55.5. So that's kind of the span on that.
Was it Spider-Verse's second weekend or same weekend?
Second week two. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's with that drop off there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's not quite as impressive. I don't know what Into the Spider-Verse did its first weekend though.
Oh, I don't remember. We could litigate that a different time. Dan the Man had one more question, and then I kind of want to get back into some CybFest talk, and then we kind of get into the plot breakdown. Dan the Man, how do you guys feel if we get Megatron's brother as Galvatron, Alphatron as Cyclonus, Shatterstrike's sister as Slipstream, and Drift as Bludgeon for villains in the sequel to Rise of the Beast? Holy smokes, that's a lot to unpack. I don't even know where to start.
I'm going to take a stab at Megatron's brother as Galvatron, though, because, I mean, if you look at just the history of the character, Galvatron is usually kind of an upgraded form of Megatron anyways. And if I'm not mistaken, when you look through the course of the live-action movies, he kind of went from Megatron to Galvatron to back to Megatron kind of thing. There wasn't a consistency with that. And if we assume that Bumblebee was a reboot and Rise of the Beast is a continuation of that reboot, then I think they're going to probably try and kind of maybe do some retconning or just build some background story from scratch potentially. So I don't know if it's going to really work out that way for Galvatron. I don't know if that's going to be how they bring him in or how he's introduced, or if that's going to be his backstory.
You could go full IDW on it, and they're just different characters. You know, and really, I wasn't a fan at first, but Galvatron as an ancient barbarian from the dead universe, I really grew to like that take. So yeah, if you do something kind of like that could be fun. The others, I don't know about the Alphatron as Cyclonus, but
I'm just thinking of the fan rage in my head if if Alpha Trion gets turned into Cyclonus.
Well, even just the logistics of even introducing that character, it's like, keep in mind, you still got to keep this stuff kind of surface level for the randos and for the civilians and for the regular movie going audience. And, you know, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like, I think that's one of the most appealing things about Rise of the Beast is that it has that delightfully uncomplicated simplicity that makes it very approachable for everybody. I think that's why a lot of our friends are going multiple times, because it's very watchable, it's very approachable. I could see an Alpha Trion showing up in like a Transformers 1 as being part of that. I think he is part of the cast, but
oh yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I mean, having Shatterstrike and Slipstream and I love Slipstream. So like, you know, any opportunity to get that character in there would have been cool. I mean, shoot, you could have called Nightbird Slipstream and I'd have been cool with that, just because like the vague purple color scheme. I was almost halfway okay with that. But and I suppose Drift being Bludgeon, I suppose that makes sense because they're both students of Metallicato. So, you know, having a good samurai become an evil samurai would be kind of cool.
I think one of the most attractive things about Transformers is the differences you get between continuities and the way these characters that we're familiar with change, and they bring in these whole new concepts to these characters each time we get a new iteration of them. And I think that's super interesting, and I think that's one of the things that appeals to fans. And I think a lot of the times we can get a little bit hung up on previous interpretations of characters.
Yes.
And while we do enjoy, you know, the kind of the consistency we have between continuities, the new and cool thing can sometimes be, oh, this is super cool. This is a great idea. I'm so glad they ended up going in this direction, even though it was totally off the wall. Cyberverse was completely off the wall, and it is probably one of my favorite iterations of Transformers so far. It seemed to me like a whole bunch of Transformers fans got in there and went nuts, and I loved it. So stuff like seeing stuff like this that like maybe right away is like, oh, I don't know, like, you know, Galvatron hasn't really done that before. It's like, oh well, we could though. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
You know? So why not?
Yeah.
I think it depends on how well it's written. If they write it well, we'll accept it. And I'm with you, Liz. Every interpretation is its own thing. We had G1. G1 was 84 and you know, in a few years there. We've had so many different versions of these that I've liked. I mean, they've reinvented Bumblebee multiple times. Like animated Bumblebee is nothing like G1 Bumblebee, and I like that because he's a little smartass, which is great.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's a little stinker, and I love TFA Bumblebee. It's a great take on that character.
Well, I was also going to say too that at the end of the day, you can't rehash the same old ideas and same old concepts, right? I mean, you know, for those of us that grew up in the 80s and were at the perfect age when G1 was introduced, I mean, sure, that's our childhood, right? That's our nostalgia. But if you want to keep people coming back to Transformers, if you want to bring in new fans, right, you got to introduce fresh ideas at the end of the day. And I think that's where a lot of these things make sense, is introducing those fresh ideas. Because if you're hung up on G1, you can always go back and watch a G1 cartoon.
Yeah, nobody is taking away your DVDs.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, or your VHS if you're Ryan King. But no, I mean, I was a middle-aged ass man before I realized that. It's like, oh, you could take something I like and twist it around and reinterpret it. And you know what? Sometimes you get something pretty cool out of it. It's okay to appreciate differences. And I spent a lot of years getting bent out of shape over things as dumb as name reuse. I'm just like, Sideswipe. He's a silver Corvette on roller skates. What the hell kind of sideswipe is that? Harumph. Harumph. And now I'm just like, you know what? Live action sideswipe's pretty freaking cool.
Sorry, I just saw Adam's comment and I'm super excited about it because I want to, can I jump on that, Mike?
Yes, please. Let me bring that up here.
Okay, so Adam says, was it just me, or was Optimus a real jerk in this one? I feel like they wrote him as a teenager or something. Yes, that was the point. So,
yeah,
that was serious character growth with Optimus.
One of the main plots of this movie was the connection between Optimus and Noah, and how they are growing to accept other people are doing things to protect their people. Noah's people in this case was his little brother and his mom, and Optimus's people was his entire race and his family that had survived on Earth thus far.
Yeah.
But I think this was a main point of the interviews leading up to the movie as well, was, hey, Optimus is not super cool with humans right now, and part of the movie is him, growing to realize that these people are in the same position that he is, and that they're trying to save their planet and their people, and he is also trying to save his planet and his people, and then maybe they could work together. So by the end of the movie, he has had this progress. Noah has also had the same progress at the same time. It's a parallel. So they're going through and they're growing and learning together, and they end up having that kind of heart to heart and working together at the very end, and that's when you get a really cool fight scene out of it. So,
and if you think about how Optimus is as a character, right? This great leader, he believes, in freedom for all sentient beings, kind of thing. But how does he get there, right? Where does he start, and how does he get to that point where he feels that way, that we know his character for? So it's like, it's got to start somewhere.
Let them come.
But it's got to start somewhere. So, I mean, it was very interesting to see that character growth and see that beginning position he was taking and where he was starting from and where he was by the time, we got to the end of the movie. Yeah, he did seem kind of a little rough on humanity there at the beginning.
It's tough to write a character like that because you have to still make people like him or have so much growth that they go from disliking him to liking him. And and so I think, if somebody's coming out or going, man, Optimus Prime was a jerk in that, and by the end of the movie they're still not convinced that he's redeemed himself, then that's a little hard because you kind of don't want to dislike Optimus. He's he's kind of the man. So I felt like they wrote him as a teenager. I like that comment.
I like that. I've had evolving thoughts about the Optimus take in Rise of the Beast. Like when we watched it first, I was getting pretty bristly. And I was kind of left with kind of like at the midpoint of the movie, I'm like, well, shoot, this is probably the most IDW Optimus they've ever had, just racked with self-doubt. And of course, since we're playing Optimus bingo, you has to have a martyr complex. Oh, it should have been me. And, with his guilt, his survivor's guilt, and just his eagerness to die at any given time. It's like, oh, hey, Optimus, we need to blow up this key thing. I will blow myself up. Actually, you could just turn it off. No, I must sacrifice myself. It's like, buddy, there's always another way. No, I must make the sacrifice.
I would have loved to see the Maximals time travel explored a little bit more, because there was a scene in the middle of the movie where Primal's looking at Optimus being a moody teenager about humans,
and
he's kind of upset about it. He's like, this is the dude I was named after, why? And I don't remember who, I want to say it was AirRaiser maybe, who was saying like, this is not the Optimus that we know, he's not there yet. And they don't get a lot of chance to explore that. Just maybe it's setting something up for a sequel, but I think it's just something they didn't have time to explore in the movie. And I would have loved to see more of that.
It does kind of have that don't meet your heroes sort of feel to it. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they're not
Absolutely.
exactly who you want them to be.
Well, and I almost wonder if some of those subtle lines like that are. I almost wonder if some of those subtle lines like that are that way on purpose, right? To kind of get you
Oh, sure.
thinking without really diving into it and explaining everything.
Well, when you
Yeah.
have a line said by an actor, it just costs a little bit more time. And if you're shooting on film, just a little bit more cost in film. When you're having it said by a giant robot that you have to animate, that costs a lot of money. So every bit of dialogue has to be there, or you're spending a lot of money for nothing. And it has to, so you're trying to make use of the time and money, and sometimes the idea, I think, doesn't come through quite as well as maybe they intended.
Yeah.
And yet, with the expense like you were talking about, though, too, Ben, they still had a lot of great dialogue and interaction between bots.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I think
Yeah.
this one had the most of all the movies that had just like
Oh yeah,
great interaction,
Yeah.
just like conversations, and it felt really good.
I mean, you felt like the bots were really telling a story, or at least were definitely part of the story, more so with this, I think, than quite a few of the other live action movies.
Absolutely. Certainly. So I would like to pivot for just a quick sec, because there was a couple things about the upcoming CybFest that I didn't talk about. Because and I knew once I pivoted, it would be harder to pivot back, and it's happened exactly the way I predicted. But Dan the man was so patient and got his questions in. So there's some of the stuff I want to loop back around to, but we got a question a little bit ago from Roop, who had asked, and this is for the convention organizer team for CybFest, how difficult is the logistics of getting some of the voice actors there for your show? And I think we could use that as a springboard to
I was
talk
I love
about.
the segue right back to CybFest. There we go.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. So
I feel like this is one that Ben can best
This
answer.
is definitely a Ben question.
This is a Ben question for sure.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things I do. I talked to David Kay into coming. Liz was the one who really initially approached David Kay at TFCon.
That was so funny.
And then she was like, then she comes running up to Jason and I, and she's like, he's interested. Come talk to him with me. And so then we went from there. And she was still fairly new to the convention, so I think she was like, I think I'm going to leave this into their hands.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
Can I just say, for our first voice actor, that is quite the get.
It
Yeah.
was. It was.
David
Yeah, I
Kay.
already have like Paul Eiding stories now. And I'll get to those in a second. So Paul and I chatted on the phone yesterday. Anyway, so the challenges in getting a voice actor are there's several. The first and foremost is they're not free. We have to pay for their flight, hotel, other possible expenditures. The other element of this, and I can't get into specifics about Paul, but voice actors, many times, the way the business works now is they have what they call a guarantee, which is when they make these appearances and they are charging for autographs, they are hoping to make a certain amount of money to basically justify their time and effort. And when you're talking about somebody who's flying somewhere, that's for Paul, it's Friday night coming up, all day Saturday at the show. Saturday night he's at the hotel, and then Sunday he's leaving. So that's a lot of work, and so there's a certain amount of money that they would like to make, and so they have a guarantee. So that means when they charge $30, $40, $50, $60, $200 for an autograph, whatever it might be, that goes towards that guarantee. If they do not make that money, then the convention is now on the hook for the difference. And so if the guarantee was $1,000 and they make 500, now not on top of paying for hotel and flight and all that, we now have to pay the extra $500. If it was $5,000 and they make $500, now we are on the hook for $4,500. So it's a gamble. It's the hope that one, the voice actor will draw in enough people to justify the expense for the hotel and all that, and the hope that there's enough of a fan base and enough desire and things to autograph that will bring that money in for them, because it needs to be worth it to them.
Yeah.
Especially when they're traveling and stuff like that. This isn't like a California show where they can just drive for an hour and be at a show. There's a lot more to it. And so, some voice actors, you have to go through their agent. Some of them you go through a representative company. And some of them you can talk to directly. And so Paul, I met in TFCon, and he was super awesome. I told him a little bit about CybFest then. He was interested, very interested. The big selling point for me wanting to bring Paul and suggesting him to the crew and the team is that how great he was with my son, who was 9 at the time. And he was just super nice. And, Paul plays Perceptor and my son is into science. And so Paul chatted with my son for several minutes just about science. And he just left so excited. And it's like that's what we want at our show. We want somebody who everybody who interacts with them just leaves with a smile on their face and excited and felt like they just met one of their heroes. And that's kind of what Paul did. And it's the same feeling we had when we met David Kay. So that's kind of the logistics that go behind getting a voice actor. It's something that's very expensive, so which is why we don't bring one out every year, because we want to keep our prices where they're at and not raise them too high. If the more we raise them, the more voice actors we bring in, the higher we have to charge for dealer tables and admission. And we're just, it's rough trying to figure out what that right price is where it doesn't turn people away, but we're able to do more with the money that we bring in, and yet still have it be an approachable show, a show that somebody goes, man, I'd like to go to a Transformer convention. I don't want to pay $50 for a day to see Transformers. And so, $10 a day is pretty reasonable for a convention these days, especially one that's very specific. And so it's like, if you like Transformers, you're going into a place where you are going to be surrounded by people just like you. And that's really cool. Whereas like a general toy show, you're going in for a toy show and you're going to buy toys, but there's nothing that's kind of on theme to it. That's something we've always wanted to do with CybFest from the very beginning. And it's something that we took from CybCon from when Greg was running that, and said, okay, all of this stuff is on theme. Let's continue that. That's what brought all of us here. That's how I met Jamal. That's how I met Liz. That's how I've met Mike. I met Jason, who also runs the show. Randy. I've met some of my best friends through Transformers, and I can't begin to tell how much I appreciate that experience, and the fact that these toys that I grew up with kind of led me down this path in life, and I've met some people that I hope will be in my life for the remainder of it,
Absolutely. Well, and not to cross Hasbro franchises, but I've heard that friendship is magic. So,
it is.
Shout out to Monica and her table full of ponies. Jeez. But so actually I am going to try to do an experiment here. I don't know if this is going to work, but Ben, you had mentioned that we are welcoming Mr. Paul Eiding to our show, and he recorded a little video for us. I'm going to try to play it, and you'll have to let me know if we hear the audio or not. But I thought this was pretty cool. This just dropped today. Here's Paul Eiding, maybe.
Hello there. I'm Paul Eiding. Now, some of you might know me from video games that I have voiced: Metal Gear Solid, Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft, God of War, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, a whole bunch of video games. Or some of you might know me from Grandpa Max and Ben 10, or No Zone and Toxic Crusaders, or a bunch of other ones. Most importantly, I hope you know me from G1 Transformers. I'm the voice of Perceptor. Now, folks at CybFest Northwest, they know that. I'm going to be joining everybody up there. Kent, Washington, July 8th. I'm looking forward to it. It's less than a month, 25 days actually, but who's counting, huh? Listen, if you're in the area, I hope you can join us. I promise we'll have a good time. We'll be talking all things Transformers, or all things, whatever you want to talk about. So join us, all right? July 8th, CybFest Northwest. See you there.
Nice.
And he's not kidding. When he says he'll talk to you about anything, him and I went on. We were talking yesterday on the phone, and we went on a tangent about obscure 80s sitcoms, and it was great because he was like, I was in this little show that most people have never heard of called The Charmings, and I'm like, holy crap, my brother and I love that show. And it's like if you've seen the movie Enchanted from Disney, it's that same premise but like as a sitcom. And it's funny. It did not last very long, and so yeah, he is a really, really nice guy to chat with. And when I asked him if he would do that video for us, I had this like list of questions to ask him, and I was like, one of the questions I have is, would you be willing to do like kind of a promotional video? And he just kind of paused and he goes, abso-frickin-lutely. It's just like, okay. And yeah, he has got a great sense of humor. Him and I were joking around back and forth. Apparently him and I both have wives named Colleen. And yeah, just kind of weird little coincidences and stuff. And yeah, super, super nice guy. And I am thrilled. He is. It's such a warm, sweet man. He really is.
He's been super nice.
He asked me like, I told him I met him at TFCon in 2019, and his response was I nice? It's like, is there a doubt? And so I told him how he was with my son and stuff like that, and he was like, oh, that's great to hear. And I'm like, honestly, big reason why you were like on the top of our list, is just we want people that will leave people with a great experience. And we've met some of those voice actors that are just kind of like, okay, I'll sign it next, and cool, you got their autograph, but you didn't get an experience. You didn't get something that you're going to want to share with your friends and your family. Like, I got to meet so and so. It was like, yeah, I got this guy's autograph or this girl's autograph or whatever, and it's just like, okay, great. Now you have something that's worth money, but it's the stories, it's the experiences. And Paul knows that people want to meet him, want to chat with him, and he accommodates that wonderfully.
Absolutely. Well, and that just kind of goes to our ethos of just like, quality over quantity. It's like we wanted to make sure like have one featured guest, because we spent a lot of time deciding on who we were going to go to, and a lot of different viewpoints. And finally, when we landed on Paul, it just felt right, because it's like, this is what kind of our show is about, giving folks those terrific experiences. And if you want to join us for CybFest Northwest, again, that is July 8th. coming up in 25 short days. For more information about the convention, including how you can register as a dealer, we have tons of, we have dealer tables still available. I almost had tons of tables left. They're going fast.
No, I don't think we have tons of tables
Yeah,
left.
I don't think we got tons of anything, but yeah, if you're a vendor, if you're a collector, if you want to sell stuff, I would recommend you register sooner rather than later. Pre-register as an attendee. Registration, I believe, is open until the 22nd, which is coming up very soon. Good Lord. But the advantage of pre-registering as an attendee is you get into the dealer room an hour early, and our roots, the roots of CybFest is being a dealer toy show. So if you want to get those best deals and the best selection, you want to get in there before the general admission civilian folks they're just looking to walk around. You know who I'm talking about, but so you got to pre-register to get in an hour early. And one of the other benefits of pre-registering is you have the opportunity to get our exclusive figure, Generation Zero Wheelless Jack. And see, I almost segued just fine to start talking about the exclusive. Man, I feel like I could do an entire hour just on the exclusive figure because it's had such a cool story and such cool origins. I really hope we get to do that panel at CybFest. But hang on. Adam asks in chat, what time should vendors arrive to set up? That's a terrific question.
I think it's 8, right? You guys will get a letter a couple weeks before CybFest giving you the details on, load in and setup and everything. I believe it's been 8 the past couple years, but that's more of a Jason question because he's got all of the stats, I guess, is the word I'm looking for on that. And then I've also got prices on dealer tables if you'd like me to read those off.
Yeah, I wonder if Aaron is going to bring all of his third-party figures over from Springfield, not the Oregon one, and set up a dealer at CybFest. But I think it's great topic. So yeah, if we want to talk about prices of the dealer tables, sure.
The one thing I want to add to arrival times for the dealers too is that our goal this year, at least my goal this year as a dealer organizer, is I really want to have the tables set up and everything ready for the dealers when they come and not have us still be setting up just so that they know exactly where to go for their tables based off of how we have it set up. So we're hoping that the setup time we pick is going to be early enough for people to get set up and have the time they feel that they need to set up, but also give us the time to be able to get the table set up, because since we're doing the full gym, that's about twice as many tables to set up as previous years. So we're hoping to kind of do a good balance on that.
Sweet. So we wanted to talk prices?
Yeah, I can read those off real quick. So if you're an artist and you just want to sell art for the most part, that's a $30 table. I think we've got we keep changing the layout, so it does vary, but I believe we've got 2 left right now. Deluxe tables are kind of your standard one table for selling figures and toys and other Transformers merch. We have, by my numbers, 1 of those left, and that's $50. Voyager tables are $90, and that's 2 tables. Leader tables are $130, and that's 3 tables. Commander tables, which is the 4 tables, that's $170. And then, like I said, we have changed the layouts a couple times, so the numbers do fluctuate. But if you do want a table, now is the time to do it to make sure you get your table, because we are working on that layout now, and I believe we're closing dealer registration on the 24th. So that will be the absolute. Is that correct? The 24th?
I think I keep saying the 22nd by mistake. I think it's actually the 24th.
But I also want to add too that my goal is to make sure that we have all the tables we need to accommodate people who have registered. Mm-hmm. So, and that kind of ties into what Liz was saying about the layout fluctuating, because I want to make sure that we cover everybody who is registered for a table. So if it means that we have to do a little shifting, then we're happy to do that, so that the people who do register for tables and whatnot have a table they want to register for.
I can't read that. There's no hope of that. Yeah, June 24th. Go to CybFest.com for all the latest information on that. Sorry to interrupt. I was trying to be clever here.
Yeah, I do recommend registering earlier than later. It is it makes it much easier on us, and it makes sure you get the table you need. So
exactly. Statler had a question about the size class names.
Oh, that was my guilty contribution when I became the dealer room coordinator. I thought it would be poetic to have dealer tables that were based off of size classes.
Yeah,
for figures.
I mean, we already know what the size of these figures are, so it helps kind of give a visual of like, okay, this is the medium size, this is going to be a little bit bigger. What I'm wondering is, eventually, are we going to add a core class where it's just like a TV tray that's set up?
Well, ironically enough, that's probably what my table is going to be, because like I'm going to be spending most of my time in the panel room, but I still want folks to like grab flyers and stuff. It's like, I heard Mike was at the show. I don't see him. Where's the Mike table? I'm just going to set up like a little card table with like some flyers and some QR codes. It's like, hey man, here's some of the podcasts I've been on. Scan this QR code. Subscribe to Mike Cybert Radio. Subscribe to Two Mikes Too Furious. That kind of thing. But yeah, that could be, I might be the first core class table there. I don't know. I never really thought about that. I love how we workshop stuff in real time here.
Titan class will be like half the gym. HasLab we'll have the HasLab class, which will just be you're paying for the show.
Don't give Ryan any ideas. He's supposed to be thinning out his collection. My goodness. I think I wanted to talk about the exclusive next. Is that kind of where I was at? I think that's about where I was at. Okay, very good. So one of the things that folks had been asking for the most is an exclusive figure, and we're really excited to announce. It's been announced for quite a long time, but we'll bring up another screen share here. I want to talk about attendees of CybFest Northwest 2023 will have the opportunity to purchase an exclusive transforming figure. This is a custom figure designed from the ground up. It's an all new design, no repaints, no reuse. And it's produced exclusively for CybFest Northwest 2023 by Alex with Blue Forge. There are details on how to get the figure on the website cybfestnw.com. But yeah, I mean, it's Generation Zero wheelless Jack, and I think John Hasbro must really be paying attention to what we're doing, because what was it? 2 weeks ago, they announced that they're doing Cybertronian mode Wheeljack in Buzzworthy Bumblebee. But
I think that was a listings leak.
A listing was found, so that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% coming out.
That's true. That is true.
The
that
size
stuff
class
falls
is
through
different
all
too.
the time.
Yeah, this is a completely different
Wheeljack Hasbro's doing is a Voyager size.
Yeah.
Which if that Origins Bumblebee doesn't fit inside the Wheeljack figure, what are we even doing? Because Prime always said there would be days like this.
You're right.
I do want to point out that Alex, who designed this figure, is the son of Greg Gobb, who started CybCon, and which was basically the origin show before we took it over for CybFest. When he retired. So it's really awesome for him to go from like literally being this young kid running around the dealer room of CybCon to now being the exclusive designer for CybFest. So Alex is an amazing person, and it's been an absolute thrill to be able to work with him, and the ideas and this talent that he brings to the table it's amazing.
Absolutely. And and it's such a fun figure and such a fun concept, but the fun doesn't start there. Doesn't stop there, but because I wonder if we did all of this for me. I wonder if we brought in Ashley specifically for me, because like I'm a huge packaging guy. So it's like I'm a box collector. I love the aesthetic of cool packaging, especially for Transformers. But we partnered with one of our featured artists, Ashley Artley, and she did the packaging design and the original artwork for our exclusive as well. And I love this depiction of the character so much, Generation Zero Wheelless Jack, our CybFest 2023 exclusive, because it evokes Wheeljack. You know, it's like it's got the silhouette, and it's I love this this art piece so much. But Liz, do you want to talk about our partnership with Ashley?
Yes. So last year we had our CybFest art contest, and we ended up having a 3D winner and a 2D winner. 3D winner was Alex, and the 2D winner was Ashley. And this year, Alex initially had approached us last year and said, "Hey, let's work together and make an exclusive." And we said, "Awesome, that's fantastic. Let's do it." So we worked together. We made this exclusive, and then we talked to Ashley and we said, "Hey, would you like to do art for this exclusive?" And Ashley was super excited. She loves Wheeljack, so she was pumped about this. So she came in and she went all in on this. It looks super cool. I'm very pumped about it. We did get today some pictures of the final product.
Oh my gosh!
Because Alex had gotten the art and the labels that Ashley had printed, and had started putting them on the boxes for the figure, and it looks super cool. And I'm really hoping Mike wants to show it off today.
Oh, I really do. This is some like, super insider type of stuff, but we got let me see, is this it? So we have the labels, and presumably that's Alex's foot. I don't know.
But, that is not an exclusive for CybFest.
No.
Unfortunately, there are only 2 of those exist.
Exactly. But then we also got, I think I could do it this way. I'm going to bring up my screen share here. Where did it go? There it is. So here's a picture of the box. So this has the label affixed to it with the box art on the front, and it's basically a wraparound sticker that encircles the entire box.
It looks so cool.
It's a little smaller than I was anticipating, but let me try sharing to a different screen here. But this just looks so cool. I'm so excited. That's a little bigger, but you know what? You got to see it in person.
Now, we don't have to cut the sticker to get into the figure, right?
No, the entrance is on the side. It opens from the side.
Perfect.
So this will exist as its own cool box thing, but the real coup de grace that I wanted to show off here. Let me bring this up in a new window and make it as big as I can, because I love this so much. There's a stack of Generation Zero Wheelless Jacks.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And we had asked Alex if we're able to share these exclusive behind the scenes photos, and he was like, "Well, I mean, I'd like to put it in the light box and get some good pics." And I'm like, no, I want to see the junk. I want to see like the workbench and stuff, because I'm just a sucker for like work in progress and DIY and process and all that. But like this, I'm really excited for this figure. One, what it means and what it represents and all that. But like it really, for me, as it it fits my collector sensibilities. Like I will be able to take out the figure and mess around with it and play with it, but then it's also going to display very handsomely in the box on my shelf. So I'm really, really excited for the exclusive here.
And Alex was designing all this all while he was planning a wedding and getting married and all that. So that he was taking time out of his real life to do this stuff for us, and it was amazing. And one thing, we always promote CybFest as a family show. And when we say family, we don't necessarily just mean our spouses and parents and stuff. We mean, like, if you're a dealer, you're now part of family. And Alex has been family to us since before CybFest exists because of his involvement with CybCon. And then once Ashley became a dealer, now she's family. And now we love to we love the contribution of our dealers and our artists and help them be a bigger part of the show. And the fact that they are willing to do this is amazing to us, and we're thrilled.
Absolutely. Statler posted a question for us. Any in-hand picks? I have not had the opportunity to handle Wheelless Jack yet. I'm sure I will get mine the day of the show or maybe a little bit before, but has anybody seen the figure in hand? I mean, like, we've posted quite a few
pictures of it, but it's we haven't got any in hand yet.
We've got on cutting mat. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. That picture does answer the age-old question: is what color are Alex's walls? And that's that question has now been answered for all of his fans.
Asked and answered. Let me bring that up one more time here before we move on here. But yeah, those some beige looking walls.
They are.
But no, this figure is so exciting. We're really excited for it. And again, you can find details on how you can get the exclusive Generation Zero Wheelless Jack at our website, CybFestNW.com, for all those details. Just wanted a size reference. It's Wheelless Jack is about the size of a G1 Minibot. He kind of scales with a lot of like Scout class, Legend scales, small dudes. Basically.
Maybe a little bit shorter than a core.
Yeah,
or right about that size, somewhere around there.
I tagged you in the image Alex sent a while back of the painted figures.
Oh, very good. Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Now I think let's just do a run through of these since we're here.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, so these are the first ones. Since I'm in screen share, Liz, when did he send these? Do you remember?
These were February.
Oh, okay.
Very February 5th. So I think this was the first like painted prototype. So he had the printed ones a while before that.
That's right.
Yeah, we saw kind of the parts as they were coming together.
Yeah. A lot of.
But we wanted to make sure we had final versions of it before we revealed it.
Gotcha.
All right, I replied to you with one more that you might like. It's got him standing next to a bumblebee, so Statler might enjoy that.
Ah, gotcha.
For those who are watching who don't know, Statler is my child.
Oh, that was the one I was looking for. Yeah, thank you, Liz. That
And this one's unpainted.
Yeah, this is like the one of the original prototypes. So yeah, so he's an eyelash taller than a G1 Bumblebee. So yeah, kind of in that, again, kind of mini bot, little shorter than core class, legends class, or legend scale, I mean. But yeah, it'll scale nicely with your little dudes. That kind of thing. Sweet. So yeah, so we're just, you could tell by the enthusiasm that we're especially excited for the figure, and we're especially excited for our little convention coming up on July 8th. And again, the CybFest, the CybFest website is cybfestnw.com, cybfestnw.com. So before we start talking about the movie, we talked about pretty much everything. I've got my checklist here. T-shirts we talked about, exclusive figure. We talked about the robotics teams. We are hosting some panels. I will be hosting the I forget what Jason called it. It's like the Cybertronian Exhibition Hall, hosted by my Cyber Radio podcast or something like that. But that's where I'm going to be. We've got some really cool panels. Again, the folks from Swerve's Bar will be part of that. We're bringing back show and tell. We're hoping to do a behind the exclusive panel with both Ashley and Alex. And both of them are like delightfully shy about it. They're like, I guess we could talk about it. It's like, my friends, I will extract the goods from you. I promise. So that's.
I was going to say for the first time that we're going to be having the trivia contest be in the panel room, which has been named the McAdams Pub Trivia. Somebody had suggested last year, why don't you do like kind of a pub trivia thing? And we're like, okay, let's try that. Because we kind of always evolve the trivia contest to varying degrees of success. And so we're trying this time and seeing how it goes. And so, yeah, McAdams Pub Trivia will be in the dealer room. Or not in the dealer room.
Yeah, not in the dealer room. It's going to be in the panel room.
Panel room. I am going to have somebody remind me so that I don't get lost. But we're also going to be doing our organizer roundtable towards the end of the day, as well as having a panel with Mr. Paul Eiding.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be fun.
That's going to be so good. So we talked about the transforming contest. We talked about the trivia. We talked about Scotty's Bumblebee, and of course, we talked about our featured guest, Mr. Paul Eiding, Preceptor himself, Colonel Roy Campbell, Snake. I think what I'm gonna, because I think I've got something of him as Preceptor already. I think I'm gonna have him do a Metal Gear Solid Game Over thing where it's just like, Snake, are you there? Snake. It's just funny. It brings back all that nostalgia there. We are also in works of having Mr. Eiding join me on the podcast here to let everybody know about all the cool stuff that he's up to. He has a delightful short film that I was just looking at on YouTube as well, that I'm really excited to ask him about and kind of talk to him about some of his kind of non-Transformer stuff, just so that he really feels a well-rounded round of hugs and love from us here at CybFest. Make him feel especially welcome. But
BBTS helped me get ready for Paul.
Yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. Did you guys see? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm really hoping that this let me see if I can find it here real quick. It's on TFW, but like they've announced the latest Walmart reissue, and it is Perceptor, and this packaging, my God.
No mercy from Percy.
Yeah,
When was this when I needed Perceptor graphics?
Yeah. Well, and ironically enough, so Jamal was just holding up his Studio Series 86 Perceptor. This is the same box art. And that's definitely Marcelo. His box art there, but I
completely didn't realize that.
I just love how clean it is, and I had posted something where I'm like, I really hope this thing drops before July 8th. We've got 25 days, so I'm really hoping this guy drops, because how awesome would that look with a fresh Paul Eiding autograph on that?
Oh yeah.
I believe
to
it
say,
was cited in France.
what's that?
I believe it was cited in France.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
So for the
based
low cost
right
of
about-
traveling to France and finding it there, and then flying back to Washington, you can have that to have Paul Lighting sign it. I mean, that's perfectly reasonable.
Absolutely. Well, and the it's also in toy colors. So it's light blue as opposed to the more teal turquoise of the original figure. And I really can't tell, and I can't get a really good zoom on it. I think that's a animation accurate face sculpt, but I really can't tell.
Well, from what
Either
I
way.
understand of that line, their focus has been on like not limiting the budget for the figure when it comes to like deco and paint, so that they can actually paint it to be accurate to the animation models. I mean, that's why Hot Rod turned out so great. And I was watching a video from Slag Podcast, and he was talking.
Oh yeah, Proto Man. Yep.
Yeah, Proto Man. He was doing comparisons between the figure and another picture of a G1 Perceptor, and much like Hot Rod, they totally went out of their way to just nail the colors and the deco on him to be just identical to the movie.
That's amazing. I would have been happy with a reissue, but as this Transformers the movie Super Stan, I am very satisfied. I mean, that line is, I mean, it's the toys we never got. Literally. I mean, like, Studio Series 86 is one thing, but now where we're doing reissues in anime deco with the Transformers the movie graphics and call out on the package, it's like what a time to be alive. I mean, it's just like it's just beyond amazing. But anyway, so yeah, hopefully that's something that'll be out before Paul comes to Seattle, before Mr. Eiding joins us at CybFest Northwest. Again, that's on July 8th, 2023 at the Kent Commons Community Center, just about 20 miles or so south of Seattle. For all of the information, head to the website cybfestnw.com and connect us with get connected on our social media channels and all of that other neat fun stuff. Before we officially pivot to the movie discussion 90 minutes into our live stream here, and anything else about the convention that I feel like I've been pretty evangelical about it, like, when I talked to Swerve's Bar, when we talked to Diecast at Radio Free Cybertron, I've got some other stuff coming up too, but like I could talk about it as much as the day is long, but I have friends here, and I would love to cede my time to my friends on the panel.
One of the things we're bringing back is the kids' play area, which we didn't do last time because of COVID and just safety and all that. And so the big bucket of Transformer figures will be back for kids to be able to play with and stuff like that. Trying to think of other things that we're doing. The transforming contest, I know that Jamal said that the figure is going to be redacted for right now, but you can be excited for the fact that there will be a figure to transform.
Speaking of Rise of the Beasts.
I think we covered it all.
I think so. I
if
think
anybody
so.
has any other questions, I guess they could still throw them out, and we can do temporary little segues back.
So we could do the reverse of what we did
exactly.
For the first half of the show. It's like, an oscillate back and forth. So let's talk a little bit about our experience seeing the beast rise, because in the lead up to CybFest Northwest, we had the opportunity to partner again with our friends over at Allied Global Marketing. They gave us the opportunity to do some ticket giveaways with some tickets and some prize packs, and which included attendance and advanced screening. We all saw the movie last Monday. So by the time the movie opened and folks were talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, the movie isn't out yet. Or, oh yeah, the movie is out now. Because I had been living rent free in my head for so long, I had kind of lost touch of folks hadn't experienced it yet. But yeah, so we want to thank our friends at Allied, and we want to congratulate our winners and everyone that participated in the contest. Do we kind of want to talk a little bit about kind of our experience going to the movies as a group on a Monday night?
Well, before we get into that, I'm going to segue back to CybFest real quick.
I was doing so well.
We do have some. I know it still coincides with Rise of the Beast. We have some Rise of the Beast merchandise that we're going to be giving away at CybFest. We got some shirts and some other fun stuff that.
Courtesy of Allied. Thank you, Allied.
Courtesy
Thank
of
you,
Allied. They were.
Shout out to Tatum.
It was very generous. It was a large box on my doorstep the other day. So.
That's awesome. They're taking great care of us, and quite frankly, they don't have to, so so they've been really generous with us at CybFest. So so shout out to Tatum over at Allied for the hookup with the swags and whatnot. But yeah, so how because for my day job, this stuff is kind of old hat to me. I generally see at least a movie every couple weeks, for media access and stuff. But is this something that you folks have experienced before? This whole kind of going in with the press media folks, advanced screening type of thing?
Only with Bumblebee.
This is the third time I've done it.
This is only the second time for me. The first movie I got to be a screening of was so long ago, I can't remember which movie it was.
I was at the press screening for the film classic Cliffhanger.
Oh,
with
sure.
Sylvester Stallone.
They're making a sequel to that, by the way. I'm not even joking.
It's still really fresh on people's mind, I'm sure. I mean, that was only 30-something years ago.
So it was interesting. We had the opportunity to see the large lineup of folks. It was a packed screening. That I don't think there was an empty seat in the house, and it was a pretty raucous crowd. I got distracted a sec. Liz, we have a chat for you in chat here.
This is Margie. She is a beast, and she is also rising, as you can see. Oh, are you smiling for the camera?
I love it.
Adorable.
Thanks for the question, Al. Appreciate you. But yeah, so it's it was an eclectic crowd, meaning there was the CybFest folks, it was friends, it was family, and Ben, I love how you'd put it earlier. It's like everybody's family. And so it was those folks. It was also media and press folks, but then it was also some civilians, just regular civilian movie going folks that might be fans, might be casuals, don't really know folks' affiliation, but basically it was a mixed eclectic crowd, which I thought was a really great. One of my favorite things is kind of getting the temperature of how folks react. And I love the question that Liz asked me before the lights went down and we started the movie. It's like, hey, what's kind of the decorum here? It's like, are we supposed to be are we supposed to be quiet? Are we supposed to, be expressive? And I said, yeah, man, just let it go, because there's reps from the studio in the audience. And I'm sharing it here for the first time because I didn't realize it till I started chatting with other folks. There were actual reps from Hasbro there as well.
Oh,
wow.
That I didn't get to meet them. I didn't know anything about them. They looked like they were part of a K-pop band, but I learned later that they were Hasbro reps. So it's like, so these types of screenings are to kind of like gauge the audience temperature. Like
so
I
when I
know,
screamed when RC showed up, they heard that.
yes, exactly. And I know Jeremy Johns, who's a YouTuber, he lives in the Seattle area here. He was at our screening, and he had mentioned in his review of Rise of the Beast about like the crowd reaction, because I was just like, yeah, man, put it on, put it on. So it's like, so we can let everybody know how enthusiastic we were about the movie. But I guess, like, I mean, I know we dabbled into some chat earlier, but I thought we would just kind of go around and just kind of like just general vibes. Like I have a whole damn podcast, so I went on for like a half hour saying like, oh, it's delightfully uncomplicated and very approachable and blah blah blah. But I would like to kind of get a just because like when the movie ended, we scattered and then we converged for like pictures and stuff, and then we scattered again. I don't think any of us really talked about what we thought about the movie, which is part of the reason why I wanted to kind of do it this way. But yeah, let's just kind of talk general vibes. Like what y'all think of the Rise of the Beast?
I really enjoyed it myself. It was awesome to go beyond just G1, or at least the typical Transformers we've seen in the movies. It was really cool to have the Maximals in there. I thought that the way that they did Unicron was really cool, as far as just how menacing he was. And it wasn't something where it was just like a shadow or anything like that. I mean, you really got a pretty good look at Unicron as far as him approaching the planet and stuff like that. That was really cool. I really, like I said earlier, I really enjoyed the fact that there was actual conversation and interaction between a lot of the Transformer characters. And it didn't seem like there was that much of it, of that level, in other movies. So I really like that interaction. Say what you will for Mirage being a Porsche instead of being a Formula One car. His character was really funny. And here's the thing I really appreciated about the movie. The humor seemed natural and well placed. It did not seem forced. It didn't seem inappropriate. It didn't seem like kind of juvenile and stuff like that, like what we saw in some parts in Revenge of the Fallen. But this one, it seemed like the humor was on point. It felt very natural.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun with that. I thought that the way they incorporated Noah into the fight scenes, right? Because like a lot of the other movies, it's the humans are running around trying not to get squished, and trying not to get shot. But the way that they incorporated Noah into the fight, I thought was really cool. So I really enjoyed it. My boys are looking forward to seeing it on Father's Day with me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in terms of like the rewatchability of this movie. But let's Liz, what'd you think?
I have many thoughts on the movie.
Yeah.
So I'll try to summarize real quick. But I think my biggest takeaway from the movie was I'm always interested in how they decide which characters they want to bring in. And the live action movies especially have always been super interesting for this. RC's interpretation in the earlier movies was she was there and then she died and she was gone. And Michael Bay's excuse was, I didn't like RC's character. Okay, change it.
Yeah. Or don't use it.
or don't use her. But this time around we had when we heard Beast Wars at when this initially got started, and we were like, oh my god, Beast Wars. I'm sure everyone here has their favorite Beast Wars characters, right? Everyone's got their favorites. Mine are obviously Air Razor and Black Arachnia. When I saw Air Razor was going to be in there, I did not expect that at all. I was like, Airazor was always kind of a the B team, one of the B team characters in Beast Wars.
Yeah.
And I found out she was going to be in this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, let's go. She also had a huge role, and that was fantastic for me. Are we getting into the heavy spoilers yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Alright,
So yeah, so if you've been listening for an hour and 48 minutes for a show that has been branded as Transformers: Rise of the Beast, full spoiler discussion with CybFest NW and Q&A, I think at this point we have crossed the spoiler threshold, and yeah, I think we can discuss the fates of those characters freely.
So I need to preface this by saying I was extremely happy with Airazor's representation in Rise of the Beast. She was very, very cool. She was an awesome character. She was a badass. Her wings were made of knives. It was awesome. And then there are 3 characters that died in this movie. 2 of them came back. One of them did not. And the one that did not was Airazor. I'm a little bit bitter about that.
I was actually really bummed about Airazor's
saying.
demise in the movie. I really did enjoy her character.
She would have made a very cool mech suit.
like you texted me like I think during the credits and had said like, dead Airazor mech suit win.
Yeah. No, the movie had all sorts of twists that I just was not expecting. The Mirage Noah like fusion was I didn't know what to think of it at the time. In retrospect, I think I like it. I think there's a lot of cool potential for it, and I think it could go cool places. I don't think they're going to do anything else with it. But it was a very interesting twist, and it was a very cool thing to watch, and it fit the fight and the movie very well. But overall, this was a very, very. I told Mike this when we got out of the movie. One of the media guys, dude in a beanie and these big thick rimmed glasses, and a super skinny girl with a clipboard, and they're standing outside the movie theater. They're looking at each other, and the dude in the beanie goes, "All right, write this down. Fun summer hit." And he says this like it's the most like no one has ever written these words before. Girl with the clipboard is scribbling furiously. She's like, fun summer hit. They're gonna love this. And I was sitting there. I was like, he's not wrong. It's a fun summer hit, and that's pretty much the best way to represent it. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I had a really great time, and I was very, very happy with Airazor. So.
Absolutely. I mean, and we'll pour one out, but what a coup to bring Michelle Yeoh in as well.
Absolutely.
Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh. Mm-hmm. So and she was terrific in that role as well.
The other thing I like about them using Michelle for the road for Airazor's role is if you think of Airazor's dialogue and what she contributed to this story and the dialogue in the movie, it's like I can't think of a better voice than Michelle's, because like Airazor was just given all kinds of history and education and just bringing everybody into the know, and it's like you feel like she needs to be a really wise character to do that. Like it seems appropriate if she sounds really wise and has that wise voice. And I thought Michelle nailed it.
I will also note I was very, very skeptical of Pete Davidson when they announced that. He nailed it. He did fantastic. I was like, I'm not gonna care about Mirage at all. I went in, I was like, Mirage rocks, dude. This is fun. Mirage was very cool. He turned out very well, and Pete Davidson did a great job too. So.
Yeah, what a surprise.
And props to them for having Mirage transform into multiple alt modes. I mean, ranging from a Formula One to a garbage truck.
so mass shifting real in live action, I guess. Unless he's just like the cab and then attached to like a garbage truck, like a trailer or something. Your mileage may vary.
Well, as we know, trailers just appear out of nowhere for Transformers.
Yeah,
exactly. Pocket dimensions.
Exactly. And part of the humor was Mirage wasn't always what he said. It was like what he did as well. I mean, for anybody who was in the movie, I mean, how many of us got a real good laugh out of him transforming into Sideswipe's alt mode, his original alt mode? and then most of the movie, Jazz is alt mode. I mean,
Yeah.
The fact that they kind of threw those in there for a scene it was almost like the director was like, "Oh yeah, I got you. I know he transforms into a Formula One. I got you."
Yeah. Well, and I feel that this iteration of Mirage is literally the thing I was talking about earlier, where I used to get so hung up on name reuse, and it's like, that's not the character, harumph. Whereas I love this character. He just happens to be Mirage and looks vaguely like Jazz. Not quite the same model of Porsche, but same vehicular family. But still, it's like I really like this character, and what a delight that at a time we are at peak Pete Davidson. You cannot get away from this Foolio, and I don't think any of us were expecting anything other than irritation. And sure enough, just steals the show and really makes you fall in love with this character. I mean, he's terrific. Just like I liked everything about that dynamic, and it kind of harkens back to the engine that makes these movies go. It's it's a boy in his car, or in this case, or in the case of Bumblebee, Charlie and Bumblebee, it's like that kind of thing. In the chat, Randall Ang, who may or may not be coming to CybFest. I don't know. He's been really dodgy about it. Wow, you guys still talking about it. Well, we talked about
Transformers special effects artist. I'm sorry, I don't remember the actual thing.
He did previs work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He's in the credits.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
We have a famous person in here.
Came in late, sorry.
Well, now we're going to have to start all over so that he gets caught up on what we talked about.
Come to CybFest. It rules.
It's happening July 8th.
Yeah. CybFestNW.com. But no, I like that it takes what was established in Bumblebee and raises the stakes that much further. There's global implications. There's universal threats, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, that connection between Noah and Mirage is kind of the engine that makes it go. And I really appreciated that, because it's an extension of the storytelling sensibilities from Bumblebee, which I like.
Did you guys catch the subtle Bumblebee connection?
I don't want you going to those drive-in theaters anymore.
Oh my God. That's like a double, triple reference. So
I was
it's
thinking
like
more of his reference to Bumblebee when he was like, "Oh, well, that human was nice to you, but what about the rest of them?"
And that was it. And then the rest of them could go kick rocks. But like, I don't know if you folks remember this, but like last year, Peter Cullen did a narration for the Calm app. It's like a relaxation type of thing. So and it is delightful. It's actually one of my favorite Peter Cullen performances, because basically what this Calm app is it's like, it's like guided meditations and guided relaxation and things like that. And it's kind of like go to sleep stories. So in this, Peter Cullen narrates the history of the Transformers. And it is in that thick, buttery Peter Cullen grandfatherly tone where he's just like, well, back on Cybertron, there's living robots called Autobots. And he kind of goes through the history of it, but then he talks about the Autobots being on Earth, and it's like, well, me and my friends get very tired sometimes, and we need somewhere to stop and rest for the night. Let me tell you about this one time when we were driving in the middle of the desert and we see flashing off in the distance. We couldn't figure out what it was, so we went to go check it out. Turns out it was a drive-in movie. And he talks about like the Autobots going to the drive-in movie for like 5 minutes. And it's like the most delightfully wholesome Transformers thing I think I've ever heard. And so like, for me, when Optimus says, I don't want you going to that drive-in, I'm like, oh, Calm app is canon now, because like that's what I thought it was referencing. But somebody else said like, Knockout in Transformers Prime likes to take in a drive-in movie from time to time, and obviously Bumblebee with his movie references. But I like that in this movie you get a couple double, triple references like that, to where it could be this, but it's also that, and it's kind of up to your own subjective interpretation of what you think the thing is.
Please tell me he did the Calm App in Prime's voice.
It's it splits the difference. So first of all, since it's kind of like a relax to sleep type thing, it's slower and it doesn't have the vocal processing on it. So it's really just kind of Peter Cullen.
Okay.
But it's if I find a link to it, I'll share it somewhere, because like I said, it is surprisingly delightful in how just unabashedly wholesome it is. There's some continuity stuff that will kind of make people crinkle their nose a little bit, but it's neither here nor there.
How many times did he ask to give somebody his face? No face giving
in the face giving. That's my new favorite holiday. Ben, as we kind of skipped around a little bit, I don't think we got to you for your opening thesis, your kind of mission statement on how you felt about the movie.
I really enjoyed it. The excitement of Transformers live action movies has diminished over the years. I remember 2007 just being so insanely excited for it. And then each subsequent movie is just like, okay, we've seen it. We've seen this thing now. We've seen it on the big screen. And now it really has to stand on its own as a story. And I feel like between the Bumblebee movie and this one, it's really brought back that excitement for Transformers storytelling. And they did a very good job, because I was legit mad that they killed off A-Racer. I was very bummed. And I was thinking on the way home, just going, man, I wish they gave Rhinox more dialogue and rounded out his character a little more so they could kill him off and it would still be sad, but they kept A-Racer. No offense to Rhinox fans. I could not wish that for Cheetor. My son's favorite character is Cheetor. I wish they had given him more character too, because I think he was kind of underused. Probably my favorite thing about Rise of the Beast is they pulled the camera back and they really let those action scenes unfold in wide shots. You actually really got to see what these characters were doing, rather than these extreme close-ups of punches and kicks and stuff like that Bay would do. This one, you really kind of got a scope of the action, and I really appreciated that. Probably the best review anyone could give a Transformer movie came from my wife, who said, I would be willing to watch that again. Which up to this point, she watched these movies again, but not of her own free will. It was me and my son going, we're going to watch a Transformer movie. And she's like, well, crap, I'm in the room, so I have to watch it too. But yeah, she was like, okay, I'll watch this again. And we're going to watch it again with my mom, which sounds very funny. But my mom has seen every one of the live action Transformer movies in the theater with me so far. And she said, I don't want to miss out on that. So, but it shall be said that the 86 movie, she did drop my brother and I off at the movie theater and did not join us. So take that for what it's worth.
You know, I've told the story 1.5 million times. I think, Ben, when we first did a podcast together, we talked about that shared experience, because that's exactly what my mom did. Also, she dropped me off at the Bay Theater in Ballard and came to pick me up a couple hours later. First movie I went to go see by myself. It was very empowering. I bought my own red vines. I had my own money and all that other stuff. It was pretty cool. And it's so funny though, because my wife, when I tell that story affectionately, and she's like, wait a sec. So your mom dropped off a 7-year-old kid by himself in Ballard in 1986? What? I'm like, no, it was fine. It was fine. But the thing that I'm noticing with this movie is that it has there's something about it that makes it incredibly rewatchable. Like I've been twice. Lucky and I went on Saturday, and I liked it even more the second time, because that first time through, I'm kind of puzzling through stuff, like, trying to get my handle on the Optimus Prime characterization, trying to figure out if I like the lack of characterization for the Beast characters. It's like there was stuff I was being nitpicky and having problems with, all while still having fun with it. Like I think it's breezy, it's fun, and there's just enough like globetrotting to keep things interesting as well. So I appreciate what it's doing. What I said in my spoiler-free review is that it splits the difference between the vibes of Bumblebee and the vibes of Michael Bay. And unfortunately, with the Michael Bay movies, is you get light on characterization, and I think that's kind of what happened with the Beast characters. There just isn't enough room for them, and they just kind of come across as generics, unfortunately. Again, every character is somebody's favorite character, so there's a lot of folks that didn't feel that their favorites were served here at the cost of others being super served. You can't have that much mirage without sidelining Bumblebee for the entire movie. That kind of thing. But the thing also, like, so I went twice, liked it. And that's what I've seen on social media a lot, is a lot of people have been multiple times, like our friend Apollo, Robo Apollo, who will be tabling as an artist at CybFest. She's been 3 times. So it's like she drove up from Portland to watch the showing with us, saw it on Wednesday, and then saw it again on Saturday. I think there's an IMAX in there also, but like the thing with this movie, and I didn't realize it until the second time through, is that it's just very watchable. It's approachable. You could just turn it on and it could just play. It doesn't ask a lot of you. And some of those things could be taken as criticisms or being derogatory, but I think that's what makes this movie so fun, is that you could just sit there and watch it. And whereas those live action Michael Bay movies are kind of a slog, and they're an assault on the senses. And, the violence is intense and the humor is cringe. And, there's some stuff that's like sexually uncomfortable in there. It's like this movie has none of that. This reminds me of a Saturday morning cartoon brought to life. And I haven't felt that in a Transformers movie since 1986. Including Bumblebee. Like, Bumblebee is kind of like its own thing. It's kind of like E.T. the Extraterrestrial. This feels like one of those G.I. Joe 5-parters, where it's, it's just globe-trotting adventure that's a lot of fun. So that's kind of my thesis on the movie now, is just like I clicked with it a lot more the second time through, because I appreciated the uncomplicated nature of the story. Sure, there's a lot of plot contrivances. Sure, there's a MacGuffin to follow, but I don't begrudge the movie those. In fact, I like that, because then I could just watch this robot adventure. That's some of my 2 cents on that.
I think a lot of the time we do get a little bit, as hardcore Transformers fans like we are, I think we do get sometimes a little bit too close to things. And at some point we need to sit back and go, hell yeah, dude, robots punching each other. This is awesome. You know? And that's why we're all here. and it's fun. It's a fun movie, and it's
Yeah.
definitely it is one of those movie theater movies. It is good to sit in a movie theater with a bucket of your Optimus Prime trailer popcorn and watch a fun movie about robots punching each other. And the fight scenes in this movie were very, very satisfying. That Bumblebee's return at the end just felt so good. It went really, really well. And I can't even be mad that Nightbird existed to get ripped apart at the end. Like it was really cool.
Yeah.
You know,
You need to have some casualties and some cannon fodder.
Yeah, we needed someone for Bumblebee to rip to shreds when he got back. You know.
So Mike,
You think if they don't give them names, then you don't have any connection to them, and then you kind of know that they're toast.
Yeah,
if they're just kind of like generic.
That's why we never got Battletrap's name.
Yeah, right.
So Mike, with you having seen it multiple times, here's my question. What were the audience reactions when you saw it other times to the should we call it cliffhanger at the very end? Or
sure, yeah, or the sequel setup, or the setup to the greater universe.
Yeah.
There
was a lot of fans in the theater when we saw the screening, so naturally when that happened, the whole theater was like, "Oh my gosh!" and everyone's freaking out. But
that brought down the house. The G.I. Joe reveal there for sure. So we saw it on a Saturday afternoon, so it was it was a more subdued crowd, but there was response to it. Like the folks in our row, it wasn't like people like, stamping their feet and clapping their hands, but it was like a woo, because like you could tell it was a surprise for them, which I thought was really cool. Liz, you had a really cool take about the G.I. Joe reveal that we were talking about on the escalator ride down after we got out of the screening, though.
I honestly don't remember what it was. I do remember. So I have a friend who's who has been very prominently connected to like toy collector culture for a while, but they're not super into the actual like media itself, right? So I asked, do you care about spoilers? They said no, and I said I've got to tell you about this thing that happened in the new Transformers movie, and let me see how I described it real quick, because it was their reaction to it was
I love this.
Not quite what I was expecting. Let me see how I exactly managed to type G.I. Joe here. Okay. So, and I was trying to keep it very, very brief, so I'm going to read verbatim what I said. So the end scene is the main human character going to a job interview, and the interviewer is like, "I know what you've been up to. You saved the world. I could use someone like you on my team." And he hands the guy a business card, and he walks into this big technologically advanced hangar behind him. The main character flips the business card over, and it just says G.I. Joe. And I said, and then the theater hecking lost it. And they replied, "That sounds fake." And I described it fairly accurately. I didn't use exact dialogue or anything, but that's what happened. And like, when you say it like that, it does kind of sound like a fake thing that I made up to mess with them.
It sounds made up. It sounds like, oh man, well, they're going to announce the new Transformers in G.I. Joe universe in the back of some random Image comic that nobody knew to order. That's fake. That's fake. That's totally real. Void Rivals is on shelves now, I think.
The thing that I kept thinking was like after that was thinking of the first G.I. Joe live action movie, and they were wearing the armored suits, and I'm like, oh, I know where they got those. They got them from Mirage, because it looked like just like black versions of the Mirage exosuit that Noah wears. It's like, oh crap, if they didn't show that little post-credit scene, I'd be like, oh, they cannibalized Mirage for G.I. Joe.
Oh, for parts, yeah. Now, am I the only person who thought that Noah's Mirage suit is just basically Kicker suit?
That's exactly what I thought too. I just like, oh, that's kind of very Kicker.
I mean, I don't even like Transformers Energon, but like I thought that was a pretty cool deep pull. Like as soon as you see like his wrist gauntlet and it's got like the red and blue trim in there, I was just like, oh, that's That's just a kicker suit then.
It's also a tie-in to Earthrise. Earthrise, they have the gauntlets as well.
Oh,
The
that's
human
right.
characters.
Yeah, Earthspark, yeah.
Earthspark,
What would be really
Earthrise.
interesting is if
That's
we
a
could
good
actually
point.
find out from the director if that was an intentional deep cut into Transformers Energon, or if it was more meant to, or if it was a more recent deep cut into Earthspark. It'd be interesting.
Or it was just an idea they had separately, and it just happened to coincide with these other media things. I mean, yeah, I mean the mythology is there is a Transformer Bible that Hasbro has, and when there's a media thing going around, they bring that and they show it off.
Continuity quirks. Yes,
I think it's just like here's every interpretation of everything. They brought that said Bible to the Transformers Heavy Metal game designer team and stuff like that, and basically they got to go through the whole thing, and so it exists. But so I imagine that the director writers kind of knew about that stuff, but it is kind of like a pretty low priority thing to draw from compared to like specific characters and like the Matrix of Leadership and the Allspark and these other very big concepts that Transformers has. That, but wherever they got it from, they used it well. It was a cool thing. I'm glad that Mirage is coming back. I'm going to still hold out hope that they can revive AirRaiser.
Yeah.
No, listen.
I'm not losing that hope.
If they bring in Black Arachnia, I'm not gonna make it.
I was completely guilty by the end of the movie of thinking it was Sector 7, especially because of the fact that this was supposed to be a sequel from Bumblebee.
Yeah,
like I totally thought it was Sector 7, and 100%. I had myself so convinced of that it made the spoiler of it being G.I. Joe all the more shocking to me, because because you were expecting it.
Yeah.
In my brain, I was just like, dude, this is Sector 7. This is Sector 7. I mean, I had myself so convinced.
Well, I'll loop back to what Mike said, because I think I remembered what he was saying about my take. I mentioned I thought my take on it was that I thought it was supposed to be masked, but that was a little bit too normie unfriendly, I guess.
Yep.
And just doesn't have the same name recognition as G.I. Joe. But I think that's kind of the general direction they're headed, and I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do a movie about Mask, I think, at some point. And I think they'll probably try to tie it into Transformers 2 as well. I mean, I think I didn't get the feeling that they wanted to do Mask, but they settled for G.I. Joe. I think they're trying to rejuvenate the G.I. Joe line, because that one has always kind of faltered in the last 20 years. It's just not.
The movies have all struggled, so
right.
So they're really trying to get the whole media side of it.
I think they just need to bite the bullet and do a Transformers My Little Pony live action movie.
I love it.
If we're gonna keep doing crossovers, I guess crossovers have to be working in some way because they keep doing them. Yeah. Despite my and I know I don't run things, but I don't feel like it's an unpopular opinion that every single time there's like a crossover of something, I'm like, man, I'm into this thing. I'm not super into this thing. Doing this crossover is not make me going to buy this thing. Right. You know, it has to be working, and there have to be people that are super into the crossovers that are making this beneficial enough that they keep doing it.
Well, but if they did the Transformer G.I. Joe movie crossover, and it was Transformers versus G.I. Joe, would you go see it?
I guess, but like I wouldn't. I'm not gonna buy G.I. Joe from it, you know.
Right, but I think the idea is you would go see it, and the people who like G.I. Joe but aren't into Transformers would go see it, and the hope is that maybe Transformer fans go, "Hey, G.I. Joe's cool. let's get some GI Joes as well,
Yeah.
and it just kind of
I
increases the
always thought,
fan base, right?
Yeah.
I always thought that the crossover that made the most sense was actually Transformers and GI Joe.
Sure.
Just from the military aspect, right? I
You
mean,
don't think
Yeah.
Transformers and My Little Pony would go together better?
I have some comics you should read.
I have been meaning to read
It
those.
would
I
be
would
a
read.
very interesting
They
movie.
rule.
How about My Little Pony and GI Joe together?
There you
You
go.
know, you can have Snake Eyes riding on Fluttershy with an assault rifle, fighting, Cobra riding on a dragon. I mean, I would go see that.
I
Have
remember,
Roadblock riding in on Pinkie Pie.
there was a post
There
a
you
while
go.
back going around that said one of the My Little Pony characters had a turtle, and the turtle's name was Tank. And they said this implies that tanks
Aw.
exist in the My Little Pony universe. So what happened?
Oh my gosh. So let me go back to the chat for a sec, because like we had a couple things I kind of bypassed. Rick, the rum runner himself, Bumblebee first meets the humans at a drive-in theater in the very first Transformers comic book. I totally forgot about that. So a call back to the drive-ins, but Al had posted something like, I don't know, like an hour ago. Let's see. Do you feel that Rise of the Beast was a good addition to the franchise, or do you feel it was a forgettable addition? That's a great question.
Oh, great addition to the franchise.
That was totally a good addition, because it completely brought something new to the franchise, right? I mean, the franchise is always about Transformers from Cybertron. They transform into vehicles. It's almost kind of the same fight. And with Rise of the Beast, they brought something fresh by having the Maximals be part of it.
Yeah.
And by including Unicron, right? Like, whoever thought we would get Unicron live action?
Well, they already hinted at it in last night. The last night had the horns of Unicron starting to emerge.
That movie.
Yeah, that movie didn't happen now. Ha ha ha. LOL. R.I.P. the Babyverse.
Last night, what? What last night movie?
Yeah. Which, incidentally, I don't know if this wins me points or loses me points. I still have not seen that movie.
I still haven't seen the movie either.
Because that was the one where I'm just like, I'm not going anymore. Because like I fell for it when they were saying that like Age of Extinction was going to be kind of like a soft reboot with Mark Wahlberg, and I'm like, that's fine. I'll check it out. I'm like, oh, rump, this isn't a reboot at all. This is more of the same garbage. In fact, you give me this the uncomfortable I have a laminated card in my wallet scene. It's like, screw you. So when the last night came around, I'm just like, nope. I'm making my stand here. I'm not going.
Oh, yeah,
I think
I haven't seen it yet either.
I should probably watch it at some point. I hear it's delightfully wacky at times.
It is pretty crazy. It's the worst of all the Transformer movies. There's some funny stuff in there. There's some couple of good action scenes, but it's kind of a mess of a storyline. And it feels slow. Even though there's like some crazy action, it just feels slow, and it loses the thread.
Did last night kind of obliterate the whole mythos that they created with the first three movies?
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, it just felt like two movies squished together.
That was a big part of the reason why I didn't watch last night, because I had heard that they completely obliterated all the mythos. They said it before, or at least ignored a good chunk of it, and I was just like, well, why would I want to watch that? That's just going to be confusing and have you sitting there going, so what was the point of Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon?
I ask myself that every day.
Yeah. I have seen the movie 3 times. Age of Extinction was soft.
Not a soft movie at all.
No. So here's the funny thing about Age of Extinction. My wife and I went to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a date night thing. And she said, oh, you choose the movie. And I was like, okay, well, let's go see Age of Extinction.
And then she asked for divorce.
No. No, but
How dare you take me to this movie? We're done.
no, but we left the movie before it was even done,
Wow.
and we both walked out of there. We looked at each other, and we were like, "How do we get 2 hours of our life back?" I mean, we just could not digest Age of Extinction.
I did watch Age of Extinction. I don't remember any of it.
It's a forgettable movie. There you go.
Yeah, and honestly, okay, that's not uncommon for me. I have consumed too much media, and now there's like a memory hole for new stuff, and it doesn't last super long. But like I don't remember any of the significant plot points in that movie, and I don't remember pretty much anything that happened. I know Bumblebee, or no, not Bumblebee. Bumblebee was there. Was Bumblebee there? Optimus was there. I know Optimus was there.
I don't know.
That's all I know.
I think one of the things that really bothered me about Age of Extinction when I saw it was, as I'm watching it, I was like, you guys are hunting down the Autobots and exterminating them? Didn't they just save your asses the first 3 movies? And now you're hunting them down and exterminating them? I was like,
well, it's kind of what they were doing in Dark of the Moon. They were just kind of like, we want you guys gone. They kind of was introducing that they're enemies of the state type of thing. Even though you did good things, you still brought all this crap to us. And
they came to realize the error of their judgment by the end of the movie. But then all of a sudden you jump to Age of Extinction, and they not only have reversed course, but they reversed course hard. I mean, for goodness sakes, poor Ratchet begging for his life on that ferry boat. Why? It's like, oh, good Lord.
And then I just imagine like one of those guys going, no ticket. And that was why they executed him.
There you go. So those movies are not good, but this movie Transformers is good. And so I kind of want, because like I get the feeling that we could be here potentially all night, but I don't think we want to be here all night. I kind of want to do kind of like a quick cast roundup, and then maybe like some Easter egg roundup, and then we can kind of call it good. Can
I suggest something?
Please.
That we do a streaming thing of a reaction video of all of us watching The Last Night, especially since a couple of you haven't seen it at all, and just to watch you just kind of go, what the hell? Why did they do that? Because I think that would be very entertaining.
If we're doing a reaction stream, I want to just send you guys Transformers memes that I find on Twitter and watch you guys react to it. Because I feel like it's going to be halfway, I don't understand this, why is it funny? And halfway like, oh, okay, this is alright. Mike will get some of them. Mike's online, you know.
I am on the line, as they might say. I got my finger kind of near the pulse. But I love this cast. I mean, I like the diversity of the cast, and I like that there's a variety of voice actors and that they sound distinctive.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's a welcome change. And I like that the characters feel more real and fleshed out with like real problems. Like, you know, the Noah character, he's got a sick brother. He's got a mom who's working all day and is doing night school, you know, very relatable stuff, as opposed to Sam Witwicky, who's just seems to be just a spoiled white kid with spoiled white kid problems. So I liked that change in tone more to something more relatable and realistic. Like, you know, say what you will about them Fast and Furious movies. One of the biggest strengths of them is the emphasis on diversity and inclusion. And I feel like that this Transformers movie kind of takes stuff from that playbook and applies it very, very well. Incidentally, no, what's that?
I just said the stakes are so much higher too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even bringing in like, maybe I'm going outside my depth, but with with the brother specifically having sickle cell anemia, it's like I'm sure there are people in the audience saying like, wait, what is that? Who does it affect? Maybe some people might learn a thing or two, which I I I don't want to say like, well, I appreciated that kid has a disease, but like, I think it's something that's grounded and realistic, aside from just like Sam's parents are annoying. It gives like real tangible stakes.
Well, it's not just like he has some generic disease.
I'm sorry, Jamal, you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying that his brother being sick gave some meaning to the nature of their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, the mom didn't know where the hell Noah went for however long he was gone.
Yeah. Well, she had work, she had night school, and incidentally,
But she was
mom
depending on Noah to take him to like doctor's appointments and stuff. So
Oh,
for a
yeah.
little
I
bit,
was
just
working
like,
on my Spanish.
yeah,
Exactly.
where did he go?
The mom Lauren Velez, she's the mom in Spider-Verse also. She's
is
Miles'
really?
mom also, same actress.
Good for her.
And that's the reason why they're so successful. Both movies doing very well. It's because of her.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, we got a Magnus von Braun in the chat. Just saw the first Fast and Furious for the first time about a month ago.
He's only got 9 more movies to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many. There's so many.
Jump to the 10th one and just watch your head explode with how different they are.
Don't watch that 10th one. That movie sucks.
But
Here's what you do.
The action scenes are just so crazy over the top.
Yeah. What you should do if you want to dabble in the Fast saga, what you do is you start with a Fast 5. 5, 6, and 7 is kind of the Fast holy trilogy, and then stop. And that's what it was. And I like this. I like this. It was a reference to Latchkey Kids in the 80s and 90s. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, mom had no idea what kind of global adventures these kids were up to. I really like that. I mean, we had talked about the a lot of the voice cast already, but so we talked about the Noah character. I didn't realize that he's a theater kid also. He was in The Heights. A movie I did not see, but I thought it was like he had a face that I knew I recognized, but I was listening to a different podcast talk about it. I was like, oh, that's where I know him from. That and the Crown Royal commercials. But it was interesting. One of the things I kind of bumped into was kind of like the weird New York regional references. Oh yes, and Hamilton as well. Adam got that reference, but I kind of bumped into the thing that didn't bother me until like after I saw it the second time and thought about it. The Noah character and the Elena character don't really have anything in common. There's really nothing that kind of connects them. So kind of having them both be Brooklyn kids kind of gives them something to kind of connect with a little bit. But I think as far as like human characters, both Noah and Elena pretty solid.
Yeah. They both had stakes in it, and they both contributed greatly to the progression of the story, and it made sense that they were there versus just like, well, here's a human character who's just happens to just tag along.
Mm-hmm.
God, and Elena Air Razor mech suit would have been so cool.
That would have been cool. Yeah. So at a time where Noah gets a Mirage mech suit, having Elena have an Air Razor suit, because like she goes unnamed for like 40 minutes of the movie, and it isn't until Air Razor is like, hey man, you seem really smart. What is your name, wise human person? So
there was a connection between Elena and Air Razor that did not get a chance to be nearly as explored, obviously, as Mirage and Noah's did. And I feel like they're like if this was a movie that had more time again to explore characterization, we could have gotten a lot more out of that.
Mhm.
But I understand why we didn't. But it could have been super cool.
I agree. Um,
Speaking
so
of
yes,
characters, can I say that Wheeljack kind of left me scratching my head?
sure. Let's talk about that a little bit because, like, Ben and Jamal, you guys might not have as much frontward exposure to the Wheeljack discourse that citizens of Transformers Twitter might have, but people have been losing their mama minds about Pablo for months now. And
I
it's
know
like,
that there was definitely some dislike of the design um, from the very beginning. And I assume that's still the case.
absolutely. But I think now that the movie is out, folks have warmed to the character. And so it's the opposite side of the same coin of the Mirage thing. Like, it is a different character. Once you accept that this is just a nature loving VW bus who happens to be named Wheeljack, you'd be a lot happier in life. Because, like, if you're expecting Wheeljack from the Bumblebee movie, or if you're expecting classic zany inventor Wheeljack, you're gonna be disappointed. But I found the character delightful, and Cristo Fernandez, folks from that watch Ted Lasso might know him as well. And so when he does his transformation and reveals himself, and he's just chasing butterflies, and speaks with that thick, rich accent, which kicks off a really fun scene. But I knew the character was just going to be fun. And so, yeah, am I disappointed that he's not? Yeah, it's a Cosmotron, kind of like, classic Wheeljack. I don't know that I am. I mean, maybe I wish the character had a different name, but in a world where character reuse is just a thing that we do now, why is he named Wheeljack? I don't know. But much like I feel like he's cut from the same cloth as Mirage. I think it's just like I can enjoy this character of himself. I love that he's just a nerdy ska kid. It's like with the seatbelt suspenders and stuff. I found the character delightful, and I was kind of bummed we didn't get enough of it. I don't think that this guy's inventor Wheeljack. He's somebody else entirely.
Yeah, I think it felt different. I mean, they had Wheeljack in the Bumblebee movie in the beginning, and so just the use of another Wheeljack again when it doesn't even remotely resemble the version in Bumblebee. I have no problem with it being Wheeljack, but it's just like Bumblebee and this movie are connected, but this does not feel like the same character, even though they have the same name in the same universe. So I wish they had done something like Beachcomber or something, because I think that would have fit the character a little bit more, because Beachcomber was kind of a pacifist, kind of goofy guy and nature loving and stuff, and they could have really had some fun with that. Overall, I don't mind at all the character. And I really don't even care that they used Wheeljack. It just feels like, okay, so is this the same Wheeljack that was in the Bumblebee movie, and this is just how he evolved, or is he a completely different? Is Wheeljack just a regular common name like John is on Earth in the United States?
Well, and to be fair, I'm pretty sure that's probably the hang-up that I suffered from when I watched the movie. Knowing that Bumblebee was the prequel and this was a continuation, and they showed Wheeljack on Cybertron, I think it was, for me, it just kind of felt like there was a disconnect. And I was probably hung up on the fact that, it didn't sound the same and didn't have some similar features and stuff like that. But, I mean, I think one way that somebody could rationalize this is, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they mention about him landing in that part of the world and being over there a lot of the time?
I think so. Yeah, he's been there a while.
Right.
And
so
presumably that's where he picked up the accent.
Right. So in theory, he could have went to Earth with them, right? And it's just, instead of landing, in America or something like that, he landed in Peru. And then he eventually slowly adopted their accent and the language, and And given that it's Peru, it's not like he had race car alt modes to be able to scan and stuff like that.
Right,
So,
right.
Right.
It is possible to kind of reason through it as to why he would be so different from what people would expect. And maybe, if, like you said, Mike, maybe if there was more time to develop the character, if Wheeljack had more lines and more screen time, then maybe there would be less vitriol to him being so different from, say, a G1 like Wheeljack.
Yeah.
But I like Ben's idea about how he could have been Beachcomber.
Yeah.
That
And
would really work.
Rick like that as well. Yes, Beachcomber, that makes way more sense. Yeah, totally. And I just, it is interesting. Like you said something in 1994, and I don't remember where I saw this, but somebody had put up a comparison with Wheeljack, old Pablo over there. With he's just basically Steve Urkel from Family Matters with the giant glasses and the suspenders.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't piece that together until today. And I'm just like, that actually kind of makes sense. And he's, kind of nerdy and kind of awkward. And, again, I like Mirage. I found this version of Wheeljack to be a lot of fun. Real quickly about Mirage, I didn't even mention this when we were talking about it earlier. Big Hot Rod vibes with that iteration of Mirage as well.
Because it's just very kind of young and kind of relates almost like a teenager.
Yeah.
The young brash Autobot.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it kind of gave me a lot of those vibes. So there were some other folks in the cast that I wanted to talk about, but I think I can tie that in together with Easter egg overload and just kind of like running through some of the stuff that caught my eye. Because like one of the things that I had said coming out of the movie is like there are some deep cuts references, and if you think a lot of the deep cuts references, you're not. Adam in chat, I feel like the figure would be super easy to paint as Donatello Party Wagon. That would be so cool. That would be cool. I love that. And I love that he's a VW van, and that like he's got the double doors, so you get the missile passing through, and you get some great visual humor with RC. Since she's a motorcycle, she's smaller, just sitting awkwardly inside the van with Noah and Elena. I liked all those scenes. But yeah, so I wanted to run through some Easter eggy stuff, some of the stuff that I caught and saw and wanted to talk about. But like, we said we had kind of soured on the live action movies for the most part, but like I couldn't help but feel a little bit of nostalgic tingle when like the Paramount logo comes up and you get like that old, like robotic fax modem sound that's been in every one of these live action movies. So that I liked that they kept that, even though it calls back to something I don't specifically care for. Just that kind of feeling of nostalgia was welcomed. But I couldn't, in a conversation where we're talking about the Rise of the Beast and the characters, and we're talking about the Scourge of Unicron and stuff. I was really surprised and delighted by the amount of 86 references that we threw in there. First, you get Unicron himself, which I love that design. I think it's a really cool update. Just with like the whirling cogs and gears and all that, it looked visually interesting, because if you did Unicron from the 86 movie straight across into live action, it would look really silly. So I liked how they made it visually interesting. And I thought it evokes everything that from Unicron. It's like you see that and it tracks, which I really appreciated. And this is something I wanted to ask you folks about. Like, so we know that the Unicron theme is in the soundtrack, and we know it's kind of there, but like every time Unicron was on screen, I think my hearing's getting bad, but it's like I kept hearing echoes of the theme, and every time I leaned forward and cocked my ear, like my friends were looking at me funny. I'm just because I kept listening for it, and I kept being a little let down because it doesn't have like that chugging, driving industrial sound, like like pounding pistons, like, do 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 do. It doesn't have that. It's just kind of more like which is fine, but it didn't quite scratch the itch that I was looking for. What were some of kind of your experiences with kind of like the Unicron reveal and the music and all that?
I kind of heard the beginnings of the song, but it didn't. It was like kind of like a tease for it, and then it went into its own thing. And I thought they can still use Unicron to do more craziness that we only see just a bit of him. We don't get to see him in robot mode, so there's a lot of room to explore the size and just the danger of that character.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Liz, you were going to say something on that?
Yeah, I think it did well. There was just enough that it was an Easter egg instead of being overwhelming, I'd say.
Yeah.
But overall, all the scenes with Scourge communicating with Unicron were really cool and
really cool.
Really conveyed that like this dude is in deep and he's not getting out anytime soon, and Unicron owns this man's soul. And they conveyed that very, very well. I think there was a scene where he was, Unicron's torturing the dude or whatever, and Nightbird and Battletrap are just kind of standing behind him like, oh, okay, well, good luck, man.
Yeah.
it was the visuals of that were very cool.
And that's ripped almost right out of 1986, where like Galvatron is getting tortured and Scourge and Cyclonus are just like, remember, we belong to him, that kind of thing. So it's almost like an echo of that scene. And I could have used a little bit of red in the torturing. I wish the light would have turned red, because it just would have been like I would have been DiCaprio memeing all over the place more than I would have already, because I was like, ooh, because I was already doing that plenty. I mean, this is He Said the Thing : the movie, because like I mean there's so many callbacks there. But we started talking about him already. I like what they did with Scourge here. And I like that it's kind of like a double, triple reference type of thing, because sure, it's one of Unicron's heralds. I don't know if I would have preferred him be Cyclonus or Galvatron or something like that. I think Scourge is a cool enough name because you get that double reference of him being an evil truck. So I think that makes it all tied together.
I thought the fact that Scourge and Battletrap and Nightbird were formidable. They were not just pushovers. And you really, especially in that first fight with them, and you're just like, oh yeah, they're going to struggle to beat these guys. And they needed the Maximals to even stand a chance against them. And it really did, it really helped raise the stakes and make it feel great when they were able to defeat them, because it wasn't just like I punched him a few times and he fell over and I won. It was, they got their ass kicked once. Let's see if see how they handle themselves now.
The choreography on the museum fight and the subversion of expectation that they used in that was nuts. That it, like, we saw the trailers. We like, in theory, like I honestly had completely forgotten that scene we had seen of Bumblebee getting stabbed, and I was like, oh, this is the rhythm of this kind of fight. Bumblebee grabs Optimus's axe and he has this cool badass moment where he kills this guy, or at least fends him off long enough for Optimus to get up and do his thing. And then Scourge just turns around and says, absolutely not. I don't think so. And it hit like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And it was really, really well done.
Yeah.
I avoided the
Scary.
trailers quite a bit. I saw the first trailer once and the second trailer twice, but because I went and saw it in saw some other stuff in the theater. So I was when I saw the Bumblebee movie, there was so much reuse of that Bumblebee in the garage transforming scene.
Sure.
And when I finally got to see it in the context of the movie, I was just kind of bored with it. So I was like, I am going to avoid the trailers and just see them once, just to kind of get a taste, and then I'm going to move away from it. And so a lot of that stuff, the Bumblebee getting stabbed, I too forgot completely about that, and I did not like it one bit.
I was about to say,
I think Bumblebee was done
did
dirty on
Colleen
that.
have to hold your hand through that?
One more time.
Did Colleen have to hold your hand through that, Ben?
I'd like to keep that to myself. Thank you. No comment.
But it is just kind of interesting that Scourge just kind of has that one move where he just kind of like waits for them to go all anime acts on him. And because I mean he did the same thing at the beginning of the movie where we see freaking deep cuts. You got freaking Ape Link in there. I'm just like, freaking Ape Link, what the hell? You old Abraham Lincoln, Ape Lincoln himself. But yeah, so it's like he does that one move. But the thing I want to ask though, and I guess thematically for what we're just talking about here, I don't know if the Bumblebee scene had the impact that it's meant to. Because, I had seen too many trailers at that point. I mean, I'm like, well, he hasn't jumped out of the back of an airplane yet, so he's totally okay. I think it really would have been a real subversion of expectations if Bumblebee is just straight up dead. That would have been really swinging for the fences. But I don't know. It just
they're not going to do that. There's no way. Not after what they did to Prime in the '86 movie. They're not going to kill off the kid favorite character.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
I have nothing else to collect.
Right.
I could retire. That would.
So it to me, it felt a little hollow. And to me, it felt like they didn't know what to do with Bumblebee in this movie where you've got Mirage, you've got Optimus Prime and his characterization, you've got the Maximals. And it's like, well, what do we do with this Bumblebee? We spent a whole movie building him up. Oh, you know what? Let's just sideline him for the entire middle of the movie, which I would also say, though, that the trade-off of not having Bumblebee for the middle of the movie is that LL needle drop really hits. When you get the doors drop and Bumblebee's ready to come out, it's like, don't call it a comeback. Pretty friggin' cool. Pretty friggin' cool.
He didn't. There was nothing that Bumblebee would have added to the plot when he was gone. Having him there would have added nothing.
Nothing.
And so, I think it was a good call to drop him for the movie. Let some of these other newer characters shine for a while, and then bring him back at the right moment in an epic fashion. And it worked.
Yeah, exactly. So it was worth kind of the cheapness, the overall theme we'd been talking about. Sure, there are tons of contrivances. Sure, there's a lot of plot conveniences, but it's all in service of it being a fun, enjoyable, fun popcorn movie, as our top knot friend said to the nice lady with the clipboard with the glasses and stuff. As we get kind of closer to wrapping up, I do kind of want to talk about Scourge a little more. I liked the performance from Peter Dinklage. I've heard folks say that it's kind of uneven, and on the second time through, I can hear that criticism, but I also think it's deliberate. because like, and I'm kind of inspired by what my buddy Aaron just put up in the chat. Is it possible the Scourge face was a Tarn reference? I'll go even further. Yes, I do certainly believe that. But I would say that even his entire characterization, from the voice work to the aesthetic, is, yeah, this is Tarn in live action. So it's like, even where like the voice goes soft and modulates and stuff, that kind of, in my head, that's kind of how Tarn sounds. Where there's like some uncertainty, but then some like overmodulated try hard evil, that kind of thing, very, very, very Kylo Ren type energy as well.
He's also put into place too. Like, I mean, you see him and he is just this force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And then
terrifying.
And then he has to deal with Unicron, and Unicron's like, no, you failed. And so it kind of shakes that kind of like, oh, this guy isn't just this force to be reckoned with. He is also somebody else's minion. And so, so it kind of levels the character, I think, a little bit.
I think so. I was going to say something else about that, but it was, well, first of all, when Scourge loses his mask at the hand of Mirage, I was wondering, I'm like, am I supposed to recognize who's under there? Because again, this is like a weird fandom thing, but it's just like the top of the head crest almost looks like Bayverse Optimus. So a fan theory that's been running around for a while is that Scourge is actually like 2007 Optimus, or like Michael Bay movie Optimus, like through some like corruption and time travel and Unicron wackiness. I'm kind of glad that that's not the case, but I was struck by like, am I supposed to recognize that guy? Because it's kind of like a reveal, like oh my gosh, that kind of thing. But
it's Skeletor. He looks like Skeletor. It's the crossover you didn't expect.
His face underneath the mask looked rather organic.
It was pretty organic looking.
It was a little juicy,
Yeah, exactly. A little juicy. Well, and like Colleen just said, it's Nemesis Prime, for crying out loud, because he's Scourge the evil truck. So I co-signed that.
Now, it should be known that this is Statler talking through Colleen. There's no way Colleen is making Nemesis Prime references.
I wasn't gonna judge nobody.
I love my wife
actually
dearly, but they're
I wasn't gonna be judgmental of the spelling, and now I know why. So my buddy Nick, first of all, he was just like, oh, you guys are still going, ... nice, exclamation point. We're really trying to wrap it up, I swear. But he also asked, why does Scourge's face look like Tarn's to be the Decepticon logo? Well, it's the Terrorcon logo, and I love that they're Terrorcons instead of Decepticons. That they're just something else entirely. Like it's kind of implied that the Terrorcons are specifically the heralds of Unicron, which I thought was pretty neat.
Well, since Around Seattle just dropped in, so CybFest is July 8th, and we have coming. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you good. You get. I love it. Good callbacks are callbacks.
While we're doing this, thank you for always liking and retweeting our stuff. I love you. Bye.
and again, none of this happens without the divining hand of my buddy Nick. He's just like, you should, and he's always doing that stuff, saying like, hey, you should talk to Gregor, you should do this, you should talk to these folks. So my buddy Nick has kind of been like the shadow producer of Mike Cybert Radio for quite some time. Heart you, buddy. We still need to get that beer, but so like, did you all catch the variety of badges that Scourge grabs?
Mm-hmm. I didn't see
that's going to be a cool freeze frame moment just to see all of those.
Yeah, well, and having the advantage of seeing it twice, I did clock more the second time through. So you've got literally everything, or almost literally everything. You've got Autobots, Decepticons, specific Decepticon badges, Predacon badges, Maximals, obviously, but then the less obvious ones, you get there's distinctly a Wrecker's badge.
No.
Yeah, it's a Wrecker's badge, and then a Autobot Elite Guard badge as well. So like I said, I mean, there's some like serious deep cuts in there, and I really appreciate it. So it's like, so the second time through, when you see like his full shoulder, I was more in a position to DiCaprio and be like, oh my God, that which I thought that was really cool. One thing I wanted to talk about quickly about some weird bits of dialogue with regards to how the Beast Wars characters relate to the Cybertronians. AirRaiser says something about like, oh yeah, we are from your future and your past. And was I the only one that wasn't confused by that bit of dialogue?
I mean,
Because
it's kind of what Beast Wars is.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So I thought that, they're from far-flung future Cybertron, and through the transwarp drive key, they end up on their home planet, adoptive home of whatever, which incidentally, I thought was really cool that like through the transwarp key, they go specifically to energon-rich planets. So like, I liked having that anchor there. So they go straight from their world that Unicron ate directly to Earth because it's a energon-rich planet. I thought that was a neat touch. But yeah, I thought because of like transwarp shenanigans, they go from Cybertron's future to Earth's distant past, and then they're there waiting for the Autobots or whatever. So even with Optimus Primal being disappointed with Optimus Prime, it's like he's probably been around at this point, millions of years longer than maybe even Optimus has. So yeah, it's a little wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, but it's consistent with Beast Wars. So I've heard a lot of folks online saying they were confused by that, and it was like weird double talk, but made sense to me.
There was
It just
one
sounds cool, though. Just like we're from your future and your past. It sounds very vague and mysterious, but it kind of sounds neat. So,
I think I mentioned this to Mike when we were hanging out after the movie, but there was an inconsistency where when AirRaiser first met up again with Optimus Primal, he said something like and the others, and she's like, I'm the only one left, and it was like, you four in the intro scene, you were the only ones in your group. What do you mean others? And I'm under the impression it's supposed to be like, hey man, where are the rest of my favorite Maximals? And it's like, oh, they're dead. We killed them. But we didn't see any of them in the intro.
Bit the bullet.
Yeah,
exactly. But I think it's I'm not sure if it was just like a straight up an inconsistency, and they were like, oh yeah, like we didn't animate them into the beginning sequence, or we whatever. But it was a very strange line of dialogue for us seeing exactly how that went down.
Yeah,
I mean, the ship that they take off from that first planet is pretty far in the distance, so theoretically there could have been more Maximals on that planet that all were like escaping at the same time on the same ship. And
so you're saying it's possible Rat Trap is dead?
I think he got the answer to his own statement.
Why did the Maximals have Earth alt forms on a different planet? Also, Megatron is here.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is this? Megatron himself has joined the chat. Hello, puny humans. I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons, and you puny humans should bow down to me.
Thank you, Megatron,
I see no reason not to.
Yeah. What else? Let's see.
I want to ask Megatron what he thought of Scourge.
Megatron, tell us your opinions on the Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah. Let's see. So Adam, I'm most disappointed that we didn't see Skull Cruncher. It got 2 figures, so I assumed it would be in the film.
Mm.
Again,
Baby toys?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Let's see. You all do any talk of Robert Kirkman's Skybound doing a Transformers versus G.I. Joe comic before any of the single series? No, we didn't talk about it, and we're not going to talk about it today.
Actually, the only thing we've been talking about for the past 3 hours was Optimus Prime showing up in Fortnite.
Yes. Oh, right. Yeah. How about that? doing the swishy dancing and all that stuff. I don't know. You get to see the Scorponok drones. A callback to 2007, which I thought was kind of interesting. You could almost and it's fascinating that you could almost make an argument that this is almost a prequel to 2007 because maybe one of them Scorponoks got left behind. Maybe there's a like seed of Unicron in the Earth, and that's how you get the Earth is Unicron or something like that. I don't really care. Those movies are gone as far as my continuity goes. But I do think it's kind of interesting how they keep trying to like dangle people along, at least in terms of like those Bay fans.
I wish they just made it very clear. We are starting over. This is not connected to the Bay films, but it's like this weird thing. Like we don't want to say it is, we don't want to say it isn't, because we don't want to alienate any fans.
Yeah, which is so weird because Transformers fans, I think more than any other fandom, is conditioned for reboots. I would say maybe Power Rangers fans maybe got us beat, but like, you know, we're conditioned for it. But like I saw an interview with the director, Stephen Caple Jr., and the producer, Lorenzo Bonaventura, and they're almost the journalist had asked them if it's a reboot, and they start arguing about it, like in this interview, and so it's so weird.
I don't know him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't. That's maybe a tread lightly, friends there. But anyway, now I lost my train of thought again. Marky Mark messed up the last 2 Transformers movies. Yes. Also, he's leaving the Funky Bunch. I like that reference.
That was a great reference.
It was
the fifth movie had a little girl at the beginning. Then she was forgotten about the whole rest of the movie. Very fair.
She came back at the end of the 5th movie.
If you say so.
She did. She did. Okay. For no real reason whatsoever. But she came back.
Nice. I want to fight them. Thing.
If Marky Mark left the Funky Bunch, and that's referenced in Rise of the Beast, so now Marky Mark exists if this is all in continuity with Age of Extinction and Last Night, we now have the real Marky Mark is Cade, that they are the same person.
Sure.
That's where I'm going with this.
Put user in timeout. There you go. I wonder what that does. There was a button there that says put user in timeout, so I'll see what that does. Megatron was banned and their comments were removed. Holy smokes!
We did it.
That's a power there. But I think that's an indication that it's probably about time to think about wrapping it up. Anything else that like, I mean, you get like a bunch of Till All Our Ones, which is really nice. Again, it's He Said the Thing, the movie. So many like, you know, dialogue callbacks, but anything else on your folks' plates of stuff that you wanted to specifically mention before we get out of here, as we just crossed over into our 3rd hour?
Scourge is a collector like all of us.
I love that.
Yeah. They know, hey, Transformers are collectors. Let's make a collector.
Wait a sec. Hang on. How was Wheeljack in the movie? Go back half hour, but I haven't seen it yet. My friend, The title of the episode is Transformers: Rise of the Beast, full spoiler discussion with CybFest Northwest and Q&A.
We can confirm Wheeljack is in the movie.
Watch the beginning of the show and now the end. Okay, I get it. All right, fine. I'll be nice, but yeah, go back to the beginning of the show and listen to all the CybFest stuff. Friends, this has been an absolute blast, but I think the punchiness is really starting to set in, and I think it's time for us to go turn into pumpkins and go back to our respective homes. Let's go around the horn real quick. Liz, do you have stuff that you would like to promote? How can folks find you on the internet, and how can we connect with you on the social medias? You still doing your Twitch streams and whatnots?
Here and there, I do Extra Life once a year, and then every now and then I'll do a Twitch stream if I'm feeling up for it. But you can find me at the Whirl eBird, E like the letter, pretty much everywhere. And by everywhere I mean Twitter, because that's the main place that I'm at.
Yeah.
Twitch is also the same thing, but if you go to Twitter, that is where you can interact with me the most. I have my cool new Twitter bio. My cool little username now says Whirl at CybFest Northwest on July 8th. Mike, I think, also has added that fun little tag on there. You will get to read my bio, which says, Mr. Fortnite, you have solved my cool temple puzzle. My awesome smaller son will now hit the gritty just for you. So that's cool and fun. I tweet about Transformers quite often. I also tweet about Overwatch and Star Wars, among other things. But yeah, come talk to me on Twitter about things that we both mutually enjoy.
Cool. I love it. They're an after party location for CybFest. TBD.
Usually Panera Bread. Last year after CybFest, I did buy a bag of bread and just eat it because I was so tired.
I have seen this with my own eyes. And imagine, so like the post-show Panera Bread hang is like the post-credit scene at the end of Avengers, where like the exhausted Avengers are just slumped over eating shawarma at the end, having been exhausted from their adventure. But yeah, we roll with a deep crew to the Panera Bread after the show. But anything more PG-13 rated after that, I have no idea. TBD. But thanks for asking. Jamal, do you have anything you would like to promote, and or are you active on the socials where folks could find you and correspond with you?
I am nowhere near as active as Liz. It probably is just shows my age.
You're better for it.
For real.
Probably just shows my age. But I do have an email address with CybFest. Ben, correct me if I'm wrong about our email address patterns. I believe it's jamal@cybfestnorthwest.com, right?
Yep.
CybFest
So
NW.
I do have that email if people want to get in touch with me if they have any questions about the dealer room and stuff like that. I am happy to answer people's questions as best as I can. Otherwise, I'm pretty low profile social media wise. But yeah, I really look forward to people registering for dealers and attendees and signing up. The more dealers we have, the more attendees we have, the bigger CybFest is and the more cool it is. So
absolutely.
Hope people come.
Me too. How about you, Gentle Ben?
I am not on social media anymore. Due to somebody
count
getting
yourself
into
fortunate.
my Instagram account and messing around and making me banned on Facebook. So, yeah, which I'm not bitter about at all. I did not leave Facebook on my own accord. I did not do anything that would have gotten me banned. It sucks because I have a lot of friends that I only have contact through Facebook, so that sucks. But anyway, so not much in the way of social media stuff, but do register for CybFest, because the more we have people register, the more we know that bringing voice actors like Paul Eiding is beneficial, because if we feel like it's not bringing in a lot of extra people, then it's harder to justify the expense. And it's it's expensive to run the show, and we are able to do it because of the money we bring in, and we just roll that money over to the next show. So each show pays for the following. So if we make a profit, then we can do more the next show, and it so on and so forth. So I'm personally really looking forward to the last night watch party with Mike and Jamal. That will stay tuned for that. And Liz has obviously got to be in on that too. I think Liz will have a lot to say.
Whole other podcast.
Oh man, it's gonna be exciting, and that also will last about 3 hours.
My gosh. And we spent over 3 hours talking about a movie we liked. Imagine spending that much time talking about a movie we don't like.
You haven't seen it yet, so you could watch it and you will absolutely so love it. You know, you never know.
I find that incredibly unlikely, but maybe we do it as a charity fight. That's what we do. Do some kind of like weird charity thing or something like that.
That would be awesome.
Let's see.
For every minute we make it through the last night.
Make a Twitter account, Ben, around Seattle says, or maybe a Hive account. Is like the Hive still happening? Is like people joining the swarm and getting the Hive? How about the Mastodon? Is that still happening? I don't think those things are happening. Last night watch party. When does the Good Vibrations karaoke start with that? Wow. And with that, on that note, I think that's going to wrap things up for this here episode. Thank you so much for listening and for hanging out with us. If you want to listen to my podcast, Mike Cybert Radio, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Stitcher and Spotify and TuneIn and wherever the hell else you listen to podcasts. Like, share, rate, and review the show. Let us know what you'd like to hear more of in the future. You like shows like this? You like stuff like this? Go to CybFest. Yes.
Did you see Magnus's comment?
No. Oh, we got breaking news here. I'm making a so from Magnus von Braun on his Facebook page. I'm making a limited edition hot sauce for CybFest.
Does that mean he's bringing the chicken wings too?
I want to know what it's called.
I've heard fables
Cybertron Spice.
Of the famous chicken wings. I have not had the opportunity to partake myself, but
I got the name for it. Cybertron Spice. There you go.
There it is. Let the spice flow. So that might actually happen. It's called the last bot sauce, like the last dab from Hot Ones. I don't know what that means.
Okay, sorry to hold us up. I really
no, it's fine. It's fine.
That is worth it.
This
is why we love our family, our convention goers, and everything. They're just such an eclectic group and bring so much joy to the convention and stuff. So
absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
I mean, there's 10 people still watching. My God. So so folks are still hanging tough, but I think I just want it into the record before we sign off, before we leave, that it was Mike who was trying to ramp things down. And then it was my friends that's like, no. No, it's fine. It's just like, that's never happened to me before. Let's see. So now folks are still in the chat. I'm fermenting jalapenos and serranos as we speak, ! So, I may have to see if I can get Renee on the show before CybFest, because I want to know more about this the bot sauce for sure.
All right, let's sign off.
Come on, Mike. The podcast you recording with me was 4 hours long. That much is true.
It's a challenge.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. When we were talking about Transformers Earthspark, we talked for almost 5 hours. That's going to be a 3-parter that I still haven't put out yet because the audio is so damn long.
That's longer than all the episodes put together, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
That's great. It's
all
a good
right,
show.
friends.
I like it.
Well, let's get the hell out of here. For my guests, Liz and Jamal and Ben, my name is Mike. This has been Mike Cybert Radio. And until next time, go to CybFest on July 8th. Till all are one. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and make good choices. Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, Yo Joe and Maximize. We did say Maximize a couple times too. That was pretty dope. Goodbye.
Bye.